You know what? Watching that intro, it makes me think about all the narratives about Arsenal. For a team that is so boring to watch, we score some incredible goals over the last few years. Just gotta say. So, anyway, guys, welcome to Fire Them Cannons. I'm going to kind of give you guys the lay of the land. So, the cat's out of the bag. Cal has, as I mentioned in the last few post game show, Cal has left Fire Them Cannons. He's actually left YouTube overall. I gotta say though, Cal, if you're watching, I can only imagine if Arsenal were to go ahead and win the league, that the temptation to jump on and talk about it on camera would be insane. So I've been thinking about that over the last few days. Like if I had walked away and we won the league, it'd be like, you know what? I gotta pop on it at least and fucking say something. Um, but that's not my thing or two thing. But this is episode 38. I've done 37 with Cal. The rest of them are gonna be with the group of Arsenal fans that I've made some really good friendships with over the last 8-9 months or so. Seb being one of them, and yeah, we're just gonna rotate. We're gonna chat Arsenal. Seb's first up, and yeah, we're going to talk about the topic in the title today. By the way, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. You know, is it really that impossible for Arsenal to go ahead and win the lot, win all four trophies that are out there? The quad. I was trying to not use the word the quad, but I did in the end. I got there. Anyway, we got Seb with us today, man. How are you going? Yeah, good to have you on as always.
Yeah, doing good. The game's on tonight. It's a 5:45 kickoff here in England, so it's the early one, which is nice. So at least we can, because it's been really annoying lately where Arsenal's been on and then a load of other good games have been on, especially in the league. Like couldn't watch the Nottingham Forest game midweek because we were on at the same time. So it'd be nice to kick off early and then relax for the rest of the evening. If we win, obviously, relax to the rest of the evening. I will be at work, so I'll have to sneak it on my work laptop. But yeah, looking forward to it. It's a good. I think it's a good team to get this early on in the competition. It's not. It will. I'm not going to say it's going to be an easy game, but it's definitely not the hardest team we could have gone. So
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully get a comfortable win tonight, and then second leg we can rest and play.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely get into chatting that. So we're gonna go through all four competitions, and we're gonna kind of break down how we feel Arsenal's chances are from this point on. So I've done the calculations. If we were going to go to the quad, Arsenal would have 19 games remaining. It would be
Oof.
8 in the Premier League, 7 in the Champions League, 3 in the FA Cup, and obviously one in the Carabao Cup. We know that for sure because that one's coming up in 11 days from now. So this is the most exciting part of the season. This is what I would say is the make or break period of the season, starting from tonight, as Seb says, last 16 of the Champions League. We're really starting to get into the tasty nuts and bolts of the league. I put in the poll, guys. How many trophies do you realistically think Arsenal could win by the end of the season? And then I said, depending on your answer, unless obviously it's four, because if it's four, you think you're winning all of them, or zero. I actually didn't put zero as an option. um, then obviously I want to know kind of which competitions you think that we are going to win. And Seb said it. Let's start with the Champions League. I'll leave the Premier League all the way to the end. Let's start because yeah, tonight we do play Bayer Leverkusen, and the map has been set. If we were to beat Bayer Leverkusen, we would play the winner of Sporting and Bodo Glimt. I could safely say we will not be playing Spurs in the
But
semi-final
yeah, I
of
don't think so.
the Champions League. So it will probably be one of the two Spanish clubs, Atletico Madrid or Barcelona or Newcastle, if they can get something at the new camp in the semifinals. And obviously, on the other side of the draw would be Bayern Munich, who won 6-0 today, City or Real Madrid, who play tomorrow. Well, Galatasaray is currently ahead, but I expect Liverpool is probably going to win at Anfield, to be honest. And the other one is Chelsea and PSG, who play tomorrow. That one of those eight teams will be our opponent in the final if we were lucky enough to finally get there for the first time in 20 years. That's another big one that we would, long dry spell that we'd be ending if we were to do that. That would even be without winning it. So Seb, let's start with tonight because let's not put the cart before the horse. How do you feel, Bayer Leverkusen? You're a big. I saw you wearing your Hamburg shirt the other night. You're a big fan of European football in general. What do you know about Bayer Leverkusen, and what type of game do you expect tonight to be?
So Bayer Leverkusen have been struggling a little bit, obviously, since Xavi Alonso left. The structure's changed a little bit. They still have some of the same players that they had during that title win, but obviously we've got Hincapie now, who was a big part of that. So especially their games in the Champions League, they haven't been the most exciting. They don't score a great deal of goals. I expect a kind of mid-block against them. They're not going to be like where in the league phase we were getting attacked a lot. I don't expect that from them, really. They are a tough side. I still think that we're going to have a bit too much for them, personally. The first leg's obviously away. I say if we get out with a 2-0 win, one that get out with something positive, and I think we're through because I just don't think they're going to do much at the Emirates. They do have some firepower in that squad. But yeah, I don't see it being a problem. If we do get knocked out at this early stage, it's going to be really disappointing because there's just not really any way we should be getting. In my opinion, we shouldn't really be getting knocked out by Leverkusen. They're a solid side, but not doing too well in the Bundesliga at the moment. Like you've got a Borussia Dortmund side who haven't been great this year in second place at the moment. Bayern Munich are going to be running away with it again. So they're not really competing in the Bundesliga at the moment either. Obviously went for the playoffs as well. But yeah, I think we should be going through. I think we'll play Sporting Lisbon. I did my pre-match predictions for the rounds, the ties. I think we'll get Sporting Lisbon. I think Bodo's run will end. Unfortunately, I just think Sporting will do them in Lisbon. I think Newcastle will go through. I predicted Newcastle to go through. They probably should have. They should have won their game yesterday. To be honest, Barcelona were not. I genuinely would love to play Barcelona just purely on the basis of their high line. I think we would rip apart. Honestly, their defense looks shaky. Newcastle were exploiting it over and over again. And with the stronger players that we have, I'm not a big fan of Martinelli, but Martinelli against that high line would do a lot of damage. So I think we will get Newcastle. Unfortunately, I'd rather get Barcelona. Newcastle's always been a tough tie for us just because of how physical they've been in the past. But the run to the final is probably about as, I'm not going to say easy because you don't want to jinx it, but the best possible route to the final we could have physically possibly been given. That's what's given slight credence to us winning multiple trophies, just because the runs we're having at the moment. But we finished top of the league phase, so I'm not going to say we deserved it, but we're more than likely going to get an easier run because we finished top. But it's just like even the runs in the FA Cup, we haven't had any team harder than the Championship. Obviously got to the League Cup final. The hardest game we had down there was Chelsea. We won that pretty comfortably in the end. So the run we've got is very favourable. Obviously, all the other big teams on the other side in the FA Cup, obviously, Liverpool are playing Man City, so that favours even more so. But yeah, I think it'll end up being us versus Bayern Munich in the final. I said Bayern Munich were favourites before the tournament started. We have beaten them already this season, but I expect them to turn up a bit more. Bayern do scare me a little bit. Like yesterday, they rotated their squad and they absolutely battered Atalanta away. And Atalanta away is not, it's not on paper, not an easy side to go to away. Like we've gone there in the past and struggled, and they absolutely obliterated them. So Bayern looked like they're coming into some really good form as well without Harry Kane in the squad, which is terrifying. But we have got a decently easy run.
You know, that could be good for us though, because for me, in my ideal world, Manchester City, and we'll obviously get onto them. We talk about the league, but if they were to actually want them to get past Real Madrid, just from a fixtures perspective, because it brings a two-legged tie against Bayern Munich into the future for them, and I mean, think about that team. For me, I didn't think about us in the final so far because it's so far away. I was like, is that the team that City have to play in the next round of the Champions League? That's what I was more thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, it's difficult because obviously we never won the Champions League either. But we do have some players in there as well that we've added in, like Gyökeres and Hincapie have gone. They've done interviews recently where they've been in these positions before and they've got over the line. Gyökeres has done it 2-3 times at Sporting Lisbon. Obviously, Hincapie won the Bundesliga and domestic trophies with them. So we do have some more players with the right mentalities in the squad. It's just whether...
And you got winners of the Euros, Subimendi won the
Yeah.
Euros. I mean,
It's just whether we can kind of... Because we have been quite unfortunate with injuries this year. I think it's a bit blown under the carpet how many injuries we've had. It's just the squad level we've got has kind of, we haven't noticed it as much. So if we can keep going where at the moment we don't have too many injuries, obviously there's a few players that have had knocks and have been out. Obviously Calafiori's been out for a bit, for example. If we can keep up with the squad, because we definitely have the squad depth to compete on multiple fronts. But yeah, the Champions League is definitely going to throw. You don't know how some teams are going to perform. Like if Barcelona do start clicking and start battling people, it is a threat. But just a high line. Newcastle, yeah, Newcastle should have beaten them yesterday. But Champions League is difficult just because we haven't won it before, and you don't know what teams are going to get knocked out. But I think on the other side of the draw, I think Real Madrid are going to get knocked out by. I think Real Madrid are going to knock City out. I just think City's frailties
so
at the
you think
back.
City's going to lose?
I think City are going to get knocked out. Just Real Madrid have this aura in the Champions League. I know it didn't work last year because we beat them, but it's just those where you watch City in the league and they give up so many chances. A player like Vinny up there will help them do that as well. So I just think City might go out. So I think they will. I think PSG will knock out Chelsea as well. I just don't see. I know they've obviously beat them in the Club World Cup, but I just think PSG last year, when you looked at them in Champions League, in the early stages weren't clicking. They weren't doing too well, especially in the league phase. It wasn't until around this stage that they started clicking really well, but they do need to step up because against Monaco in the last round, they just lost to Monaco, I think, in the league, just gone. PSG are not the same PSG right now, but I still think they'll have enough to beat Chelsea just because Chelsea have really good attackers in the midfield. It's just their back line lets them down so much. Like even when you watch the Wrexham game, I know there was rotation at the back. Chelsea looked so bad. I just don't think Tosin's enough to be going to PSG. Obviously, Fofana might be back. I'm not too sure, but I think PSG knocked them out. Obviously, Liverpool struggled. They were really bad away at Galatasaray, but Galatasaray's away form again is really bad. Like they battered Juve at home, but then Juve nearly clawed it back in the second leg. So Galatasaray's away form. They've got one of the best home forms in Europe. I think they've only lost 2 games at home all year in all competitions. But away, they struggle really badly, and they tend to do that in the Champions League going past. I don't think they've got past the round of 16 for a very long time. So that'll be a big shock if Liverpool do end up going out. But Liverpool this season have the capability of just absolutely imploding. So it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, it's going to be all about the other teams we get. But yeah, we couldn't have asked for a better run on our side. So technically, it is possible. It's an easier run than we had last year. And we still made it all the way to the semi-finals. But yeah, I'm not feeling particularly threatened by anyone on our side of the draw. So if we play at our best, we should really touch wood, be making the final of that. But obviously, you don't. Champions League can throw up a lot of. We've got knocked out by Sporting Lisbon in the past in a European competition when we thought we were going to win it, and then obviously Ugarte knocked us out, which is pretty embarrassing. So Sporting Lisbon can throw a spanner in the works there. We haven't got a great record against them, but yeah, it depends if Bodo obviously go through, but I think Sporting will. Their new striker.
I prefer to play in the sunny Portugal than play up to the
Yeah,
cold
going away. No one
Bodo.
wants to go away to Bodo. The thing is with Bodo is you're going to struggle away, but it's that home leg that's crucial. If you're going to knock Bodo out, you've got to beat them at home, which is what Spurs did. Obviously when they had the Europa League. But yeah, what do you think? Where do you think there's any slipping points for us in the run that we've got? Is there anyone you're particularly worried about?
To be honest, I think the team. I think this game today is going to be a big indicator of how it's going to look for me because I think Bayer Leverkusen is a good team. Like, I've been looking through their injury list though. They're going to be missing. It looks like Flecken because he's got a ligament injury. He's going to be missing Patrick Schick potentially.
No.
I mean, this might be. I'm looking at on transfer mark, so it could be wrong.
Yeah.
Lucas Vazquez is injured. Tella is injured. Grimaldo will play. He's suspended in the Bundesliga. Loic Bade, it looks like he's got a hamstring injury. So they seem like they have a bit of injury issues coming into this one. That I could be completely wrong because I'm trying to find a good source and I'm literally just looking at Transfermarkt for that right now. But yeah, in terms of us, I just feel like, I think we actually are getting really Marino. I think we're fully healthy. So according to the Hand of Arsenal, I was just looking at his his story. So Saliba, Trossard, Calafiori were all in first team training. Dauman and Kai Havertz and Timber were there as well. And Ben White also traveled with the team. So really, that means that all we're missing is really Marino from the team. So we're basically fully healthy, which for me, at this point of the season, this is the ideal situation. Or we'll talk about all the competitions, but for me, if Arsenal are fit, that gives percentage wise, it gives us the ability to rotate and play certain lineups in different games if people are available. Like that Mansfield game, like I heard a lot of people going also about the performance in the Mansfield game, but I'm like, he literally scraped together the only lineup that he could really, and then changed the formation really to suit it, to suit the players that he had, that he felt comfortable starting in that game. And I think the gamble paid off because now you see how everyone is going to be available basically for this game. And but I want to see the performance because a lot of people are criticizing Arsenal attacking wise, and we have struggled in the league. But in the Champions League, it's been a different story. And we've had the room to operate. We've looked a lot more fluid in the Champions League. We were able to get to this, to, I would say, one thing is key. We're able to get to our spots in terms of our forwards, getting to the spots that they want to, that they could take advantage of, that suits their strengths. Gyökeres, you saw, like, being able to get to his spot when we played Inter in that game away from home. In the game against Kairat the last time we were out in the Champions League, we're able to find spaces. Even to go against Atletico Madrid, spaces, Bayern Munich. So I do think that tactically this works in our favor. Because I think Arteta's amazing at adapting. He's amazing at our off the ball structure, which over a two-legged period, especially tomorrow when we play away from home, I think that's going to be crucial. As you said, if it's 2-0 or something, I'm feeling good heading to the Emirates. I think even if it's 1-0, I'm feeling better heading to the Emirates. Obviously, I would like to be able to just rotate the team a little bit ahead of that cup final, knowing that City is going to be around the corner. We have a chance to get our first trophy. So I do kind of have setting up that game in the back of my mind. But for tomorrow, I think it's just the players need to go out there and they need to just have a good performance. If I'm going to break down the bracket the way you have, I would much prefer to play Sporting. Again, I've said it many times. If Victor Gyökeres is going to have a game this season where it's going to be a hat trick, at least, and if we play Sporting either home or away or both, I think my prediction would be that he'll probably have a hat trick going away to Sporting, just because he's very familiar with the ground. I mean, how many goals did he score in that ground over the last 2 seasons that he was there? He was back in Portugal, where it's his comfort zone, and that president, the way he left it with that club of going out the door, and the disrespect they showed him going out the door, I just feel like Victor's gonna have the fire in his eyes for that. I think that's gonna be all about him. That's why I kind of want it. It's for me, Sporting. Maybe I'm tempting fate, but Sporting is like the ideal scenario for me. I know, like the Europa League, we got knocked out. Those are totally different Arsenal team. Of course, that was one that was challenging for the title. That was the night that we famously said that Robbie famously said that there are bigger fish to fry. But I think we're in a different place right now, and I think we've just remember we battered them away from home last season when we went there. So that's a good one. And yeah, for me, actually, there was a part of me, maybe just because I like the Premier League and I have a point to prove that the Premier League sides are better than the rest of the Europe. So part of me that was really happy when Newcastle went up. But actually, having seen the final whistle, I'm thinking, do we really, Arsenal, want to play 2 legs against Newcastle or Diego Simeone's Atletico Madrid? Tactically, I think, as Seb said earlier, Barcelona would suit us. And I do think that if we played Barcelona, and I thought that last year, if we were to play them in the final, that I think we beat them. So I actually think Arsenal have a really good shot of making it to the final. I think actually, for me, let's see how it looks tonight against Leverkusen. And then we'll be like, okay, we play a certain way against Leverkusen, or this is how they match up with us. If it's a really, really tough game tonight, I'm starting to be like, ugh. That second leg, we'll be referring to things that Leverkusen did successfully against us in this game, and we'll be starting to kind of wonder, how is this going to end up going? I think this is the one. Like, I think if we get over this one, I think the rest of the bracket sets up nicely. And I do kind of think, from the other side, I do kind of think it'll probably be Bayern, which would be that would be a really tough game. And we have beaten them this season, but this game would be in Budapest if we were to play them. I don't know. Who would you prefer from of the 8 teams on the other side of the draw? If you could pick one of them, and I'm not talking about the ones that obviously are supposed to, you know, get knocked out
Yeah.
in this round. You know what I mean? Like the of the favorites, which ones?
I think, obviously, fortunately for us, we haven't got any of them on our side. So squad management's going to be important running up to it because we can start resting players if we win our first legs. Um, I've done Real Madrid to go through. I've done PSG to go through, Bayern Munich, Liverpool. I was quite happy that we've avoided Liverpool just because it's the one team we proper struggled against this year. Despite them having a bit of a drop off, we still haven't been able to score any goals against them. So I was very happy we missed them. Despite them not having a good year, Liverpool in the Champions League is just a completely different story. Yes, they looked a bit weak yesterday, but personally, I'd rather avoid Liverpool at all costs. I'd rather not play City just because just from an entertainment point of view, we're already in a title race with them. We're already going to be in a League Cup final with them. We could potentially be playing them in the FA Cup as well. I can't be asked to play City anymore. I'm bored of it. Get
Do
them
you know
out.
what the
Go
big
away.
the part about that is though, and Jake mentioned that if we were to play them in the final of the Champions League, though, let's say we would have won the Premier League, that one's already out of in the bag. There could be, I think, if we make the final, there is all of a sudden a belief, a know-how that we are the big bad, the big boy in the street, whoever it is, because we would be league champions, and potentially we could have had as well by the time we get there an FA Cup that we would have won if we did, or a cap or not capital one. That was what was the old name, a Carabao Cup. We could have one of those in the bag in 11 days time,
Yeah,
hopefully. So that's a whole other in terms of mentality standpoint, a whole other, you know, it's the last game of the season. You throw everything at it. So
I
I
think
think, yeah,
just purely on paper, I think City would be not easy. Obviously, every game against City is hard, but on paper, when you're looking at the matchup, City is the best matchup for us just because of how susceptible they've been at the back. Obviously, Bayern Munich were my favourites before the start of the tournament. I think obviously we beat them in the league phase, but it's going to be a completely different game. Harry Kane loves scoring goals against us. They obviously knocked us out a couple of years ago. So the one team I don't want for the life of me is Bayern Munich. But obviously, I think winning the tournament, beating the best team, does just give you another. I don't know how to word it, but like a sense of achievement. Imagine like beating Bayern Munich. Like no one could like what they're trying to do in the league right now is discredit us. Beating Bayern Munich in the Champions League, there is no way, no matter how we win that game, we'll be able to discredit us. And we've beat them already. But yeah, the last team I'd probably want is Bayern Munich and Liverpool. I'd rather play PSG and Man City just purely on the basis PSG just don't look the same as they did last year, but they can turn it on. But it would be nice to get PSG and have a bit of revenge from last
yeah.
season.
I think we've
Um,
had a bit of an obsession with revenge from last season in some of our games we played this year. Like we played super hard against the teams that got famous results against us the year before. Like so, yeah. I think actually, I'm PSG probably for me would be the ideal one. But can you imagine? The thing about City is if they were to have gotten to the final, they would have knocked out Real Madrid, Barcelona, potentially PSG on the way,
hmm.
or Liverpool, or whatever, or whoever. So that would be true. That would give them tremendous. If they were with the tough run of fixtures that they've been handed in all these competitions, if they were to get through that, I think that would be dangerous in terms of the confidence that they would get from that.
Yeah, well,
So
that's the thing with the football. When you're looking on paper and looking at predictions, going, "Oh, we've got an easy route. Those other teams don't." But then football's not played on paper, so there could be some shocks, and we haven't. I wouldn't say we've experienced any real proper shocks so far, really. I don't think even Liverpool losing a Gala away is a particular shock. Tottenham getting battered is obviously not a shock because they've been doing that all year. But yeah, Atletico Madrid also on our side. We will play them. I expect them
We
to
also
be a
beat
bit.
them 4-1 this year.
Yeah, I expect them to be a bit better in the knockouts, but even then, they're not. They're not the same. They're not the same Simeone side that struggles. Like in that game against Tottenham yesterday, they weren't that free flowing. Most of their goals were just coming off the back of Tottenham making clangers, basically. And then even then, they made two mistakes that led Tottenham to score. And that game was an absolute calamity last night. Both teams just kept giving the ball away. So I wouldn't mind playing Atletico, to be honest. We've already stuffed them. So I think we should beat them. Obviously, going away in a knockout tie is completely different. But I'm pretty sure out of like the biggest teams in Europe, it's us and like I don't think Atletico haven't won a Champions League either. So that is kind of the clash of we're the two biggest teams in Europe that haven't won it. So obviously Atletico will have that hunger, and they've got Alvarez in there. Alvarez is a top player. He can turn up. He's world class. So they do have really dangerous players in their squad.
I want him.
He would be really good. But yeah, Champions League. It's all going to be about squad management, balancing all these competitions in the first place, really. So we're kind of fortunate that we've got the draw we have in the Champions League, because if we win our first games, obviously we're going to be away every time, at home for the second leg every time, and we can trust ourselves to get a result at home. We've only lost one game all season, so that's my mentality going into these. If we can go away in these big ties and get a result, we'll go through, because I just don't think we're going to be losing at the Emirates. So yeah, it's going to be those away ties that are crucial, and obviously finishing top is giving us a favourable position where we are always going to be at home for the second leg. So, which was different because obviously
we're always going to follow up an away leg in the Champions League with a home game in the Premier League to reset, and so that you will get like back-to-back home games where you have one in the, we'll get Everton, and then we're going to get Bayer Leverkusen home. That's the example laid out in front of us.
That's the thing, is the scheduling couldn't have been any more favourable to us. Is we've got a good schedule, especially compared to City.
This discussion, because in every single one of these points that we're going to bring up, we're always going to mention how good the favor and how good the draw has been. Let's get in some of these comments, and then I just want to we'll recap our Champions League conversation, thinking with the final question: do you think that we can actually do it or not? I'll give you a chance to think about it for a while, but let's read some of the comments, because a lot of people have commented in. So thanks again to everybody for contributing. Jake goes, big up the chat. Make sure you're liking and subscribing every time. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. The mini treble is on. So Jake thinks that we are going to be winning everything but the Champions League. No, wait. No, mini means without the FA Cup in it.
That would be the FA Cup, League Cup, and League. So maybe a domestic treble. What was the treble that Liverpool won? Europa League, the League Cup, and the FA Cup, which was their baby treble. But obviously, anything other than the main three is a baby treble. So if we win the League Cup,
I think
FA
he's talking
Cup,
about
and the League,
the treble without it being the FA Cup, with being in the Carabao Cup instead, I think.
Yeah, maybe that is possible.
Jake is definitely here, so he'll clarify that.
Yeah.
The Champions League is still up in the air for me, but that Barca performance at St. James leaves much to be desired. Yeah, I actually think that we can get at them. I do. And look, I sometimes I say things when I'm in our group chat and with TFT. Sometimes I just get whatever. I like to say things just for effect. But I was saying, like, not everyone is lucky to have Mikel Arteta, and I just think that Arteta against Flick, I love that matchup tactically. I actually do.
Yeah, I think by far the worst side on our side, the worst team to get on the side of our draw is Newcastle for us. Historically, they've been a problem for us.
The familiarity as well.
Yeah, and in the players' heads, it's just we struggle against them. We've always struggled against Newcastle. So I think Barcelona going for, I'd much rather play Barcelona. In all honesty, that high line, we'd be blessed. We rarely get to play against a high line, so playing against one would be lovely. We'd exploit that. Gyökeres thrives in space, running off. Like watching the Tottenham game, the amount of space he was getting running down the left-hand channel, just that against Barcelona, he's going to get a mountain of chances. Obviously, there's a threat of them scoring goals, but yeah, give me Barcelona instead of Newcastle all day. I know on paper, obviously, it's Barcelona, but in reality, we struggle against Newcastle, and we we exploit high lines. So you're
Yeah.
really going to want Barca.
Jake says, I don't know, Seb, Atletico are no mugs. He's replying to something you said earlier. Yeah, of course, Atletico is gonna be tough. I think you said that afterwards that
Yeah, it will be.
Atletico
It will
would be
be the
tough.
away leg that's going to be crucial there because I think we'll beat them at home. It's just going to Atletico Madrid and getting
Mhm.
results. But it is just not the same. Atletico, the rigidness and the defensive frailties have been there this year. It's not the same as previous years. I think Simeone might be leaving at the end of the season, so that does add another element to it. What's the legacy he's going to want to leave? We have already battered them at home this year, so that's what I'm saying. If we can go to Atletico Madrid and draw, we win. I think we win at home. So it's that leg that's going to be crucial, but they will be going through. We will. I think 100% we're going to be playing them at some point. So it is a game to look forward to. It depends where we are at that point in time because Atletico Madrid aren't going to be in a title race, so they can put all of their eggs in that basket. But if in that point the title race is still 1-2 points in it, we're through to the next round in the FA Cup. Obviously, the League Cup I think will be finished by then. It could be a bit tricky, but I think Atletico Madrid. I think we should be beating them. I think we just should really on paper with a better team. Obviously, it'll be difficult. I'm not saying it'll be easy, but just looking at it, we should be beating them at home, and that's what I'm looking at. As long as we can win at home, I think we go through.
Yeah, and that was what lost us in. I believe didn't we lose to them at home when we played them in the Europa League
Yeah,
semifinals?
yes,
Um,
we because they had Griezmann scored that night, and that was definitely on the side of that was a Champions League level Atletico Madrid that just dropped into the Europa League, and we were
yeah.
not a Champions League level squad back then. So it's just like that game was scary and the
Pretty sure
class.
Thomas Partey played for Atletico Madrid
Yeah,
then.
well, that game it was
Yeah,
just that the levels showed in that game where we were and where they were. It's just not the same anymore at
yeah.
all.
Seb goes, it looks, not Seb, you're Seb. Jake says, it looks like only City or PSG can handle Bayern. I would agree. I think I don't count Liverpool out on this. I think we're
Yeah.
doing Liverpool a little bit dirty there. I think that they can go toe to toe with
Liverpool just
Bayern,
have
honestly.
this aura in the Champions League. Like even seasons they've won the Champions League, no one would have ever like when they beat AC Milan in that famous final in Istanbul. Like no one predicted that Liverpool side to win that. I think especially now Liverpool don't really have much to fight on other fronts because I think they will probably end up getting knocked out of the FA Cup. They can put all their if they get into a position where they can put all their eggs in the Champions League basket. I think they're a threat to anybody. On their day, they can still turn up and win these games of football. So I think Liverpool getting a bit written off. I think they're a bit of a dark horse, which is weird. A team that's won like 6 Champions Leagues can even be considered a dark horse in this competition. But I think they're dangerous. They're dangerous, and I think they could get through and shock a few people. It wouldn't surprise me if they got to a semi-final or a final because they're still a good side at the end of the day. They've still got the players in there. It's just Schlott has just not got them going this year. But if they get some of their injuries back, get the squad together, and they could definitely be a threat in there. And I personally don't want to play them.
Yeah. Like I on Liverpool, like I know they lost today. I even said it when I won my 5-minute cameo today on the terrace. I was like, yeah, they lost today, but I fully expect them to win at Anfield, and I think they'll go through in the next round. Like they always struggle away at Galatasaray. They actually lost to them earlier there this year. Galatasaray are a great home team, but they're also not, as Seb said, they're not really good away from home. So I do think that, I wouldn't count Liverpool out, to be honest. I think sometimes if you're not doing well in one competition, you put all your eggs in the other basket. And I just think that Liverpool are going to be a really hard team to play in the Champions League, to be honest. I would not count them out at all. David, I pray every day that the downfall comes, but it is yet to come. Or shall I say the real bottlers City have not taken advantage. It's been a sad year. To be honest, David, it's been the best year ever, but I get where you're coming from. I mean, not yet. We haven't won any. It's crazy. We're talking about 4 trophies, and we actually haven't won anything, which is probably one of the reasons why it does rattle people. Which is why I would be so freaking happy if in 11 days' time we actually get that cup. Because all of a sudden I'm like, okay, we got one. Here you go.
Well, and just the confidence that's going to give those players as well to finally getting some hands on the silverware. It could be one of those moments where it just spurs us on for the rest of the season. Be like, we can win silverware, we can get it over the line. We've beaten Man City in the fight. It's not like we're playing like in previous FA Cup finals where we've had teams like Hull And we've got Man City in the final. And the last time we played Man City in the League Cup final, we got absolutely battered because we had Mustafi and Socrates at the back and David Luiz. So we got absolutely done. But if we win that, especially psychologically over our title rivals as well, I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be gutted if we don't win that. Honestly, I've never seen us win a League Cup. I imagine you definitely wouldn't have either. We haven't won one.
I remember last time we played them, we got battered by City. I'm pretty sure, was that Aubameyang's first game for Arsenal or something like that?
Yeah, well, we haven't
season.
We haven't won a League Cup since like '92, so
the
it's been a
Birmingham
very
City
long time.
game. Oh my god!
Like even Arsene Wenger couldn't win a League Cup. So I know it's like for most teams it's the smallest trophy out of all of them, but from a perspective of us, I've never seen us win that tournament. So I really, really like if you'd have said at the start of the season, it might sound balmy if you could win the League Cup or the FA Cup. I'd have picked the League Cup just purely on the basis I've never seen us win one. I've seen us win multiple FA Cups, but a League Cup it'd be great to get that over the line. And because it's earlier in the season, it can be a big momentum. It can be big in the momentum. It's helped City in title races in the past where they've won that League Cup final and it's spurred them on. They haven't lost a game all year, so hopefully it can do the same to us.
Well, knowing what I know now that we're in the final of that, I'd take it because it means we would have beaten Man City. We would have had a trophy in the bag from March, so it takes a little bit more of the pressure off. But we'll get into FA Cup in a later segment, but for me, that's the one probably of the four that is probably the least priority at this point, which is why I get more nervous when we head into the draw of that one, because even if we get like a semi-difficult opponent, I'm like, we're gonna have to rotate. Are we gonna do the rotation? Is it gonna affect other things, or are we just gonna kind of just give it up? But so far, so good. It's been working amazingly in our favor. But I don't want to ruin that conversation too much. Vabe Havrut 3050 says hello. Hey, let's go Gunners. Thoughts on the Lewis Skelly situation?
I'll let you talk about this for a sec. I just need to go off and grab something. I'll be back.
Yeah, sure. On Miles Lewis Skelly, I'm not quite sure, like, specifically what you're talking about. Are you talking about the fact that he didn't play the other day? That was just a suspension. If you're talking about the fact that he's not even the first or second choice left back at the moment, I would just point out to the fact that he's very young. I actually thought he made it into the Arsenal team a little bit earlier than I expected him to push it into the first team. So he was ahead of schedule. Remember, Calafiori was signed to start there last year. He had trouble acclimating to the league. He also had a lot of injury issues, as he still had this season. And I think he took advantage of it, and he was brilliant in the spots that he was in. But, as a team that's wanting to compete for all four fronts, it's great to have options. It's great to be safe, so that way, you always have got good players you can play in all positions. I do think, though, interesting on Miles Lewis Skelly, the FA Cup suspension, I think, was a big deal for me because I think he was the reason why we played that, 3-4-3. I think had he played, we would have played with a regular back four. Were he to be at left back, or were he even to be in central midfield? Because I think that I could have put him there instead of Havertz and kind of moved Havertz kind of more into a central role. So, I actually think that Lewis Skelly's not being there, affected that lineup completely. But I think he'll play against Southampton, for example, if need be. I think for sure. But I do think that there's an opening for him to play, I think, more of a midfield role. I think in both of the last two, he was supposed to start the Wigan game that way, but because Calafiori came off last second with injury, he was moved at left back, back to left back. I think if he was fit, he probably would have started in central midfield against Mansfield the other day. So I do think that Merino vacancy is probably more likely where you're going to see Miles Lewis Skelly. But you never know, the situation we have Southampton, although it's coming off of an international break, what the rotation is going to look like. But I thought he broke into the first team earlier than most of us expected, and he's still really, really young. I could ask the same question of, what's the Max Dowman situation? He's our most promising academy player, but he's just, not at a level yet where he's the best at his position, or I mean, he could be. I mean, we were so funny. I was saying like things like beyond like Saka and beyond Eze. I thought he was probably our best attacker, like in terms of full on ability, but he's just too young. Um, but yeah, I think Lewis Skelly will be fine, to be
I
honest.
think the only thing with Skelly is I think he's been slightly underutilized, especially in some of the away games, like the Brentford game, the Wolves game, where we've lost a bit of control and we were struggling to keep hold of the ball. Skelly would have been really good in those situations just because the way how good he is at dribbling and retaining the ball, and his progressive runs, it'd have been very good to come on in those games. Because I find like Hincapie is a really good defender, but he doesn't have the same ball control as a Lewis Skelly. So bringing him on in those games would have probably helped. I don't think we'd have lost if we had someone to bring on in there, especially if we that's the thing is I think we're missing Marino a bit when we do bring him late in games where we're like 2-1 up. He can put on, he can hold up the ball, he brings others into play, slows the tempo down a little bit. So I think Skelly could have been used in those situations. But apart from that, it's just because he obviously had to get brought in last year because of the amount of injuries we've had. He is a midfielder. He got forced to play at left back and he did really well there last year. But
Mm.
he's a young player. He's going to get his chances. So I'm not too worried about him. But I do think we could have utilised him a bit more. But yeah, I think in future we might see him at midfield. But yeah, the Saints game's going to be interesting because they're no mugs Saints at the moment,
We have a
especially
bad
after the
record
new
going
year.
away to St Mary's over the years,
Yeah,
so
well, what competition are we talking about next? We're going to move on to the FA Cup. Where are we going now?
I think we're going to talk. I think we'll talk about the Carabao Cup, and then we'll do the FA Cup. I think we can get the Carabao Cup done pretty quickly, and it's a pretty straightforward
Mm.
question. I really feel we have eased to the final. No joke. Yeah, I agree, David. You ain't winning anything. That's what I think. Is that really what you think, David, or are you just you're just hoping at this point? They reading the chat or no? Yeah, yeah. We okay. David, are you a City fan? No, he's a Man United fan, and he'll tell you who hates Arsenal. Um, yeah, these two are chatting back and forth. We keep beating you every year. Bell said, Arsenal is the team to beat this year. I agree. Um, Jake was going at David. There's 97% chance we win at least one trophy, my guy. Yeah, I saw that on Straight Facts. From that means there's a 3% chance that my prayers are answered, and and that's all I read from that. It also means there's a 3% chance of us winning the quad if you do the mathematics as well. See, that's the way I think and the way David thinks. Yaka isn't scoring no hat trick. Bro. Everyone keeps telling me, hey, Jokeres is only good in Portugal. Well, we go back to Portugal and play Portuguese opposition. By the way, the team that he actually played for, why not? Like he scored records amount of goals in that country. That's literally his bread and butter. I would be disappointed if he didn't score in against Sporting Lisbon, home and away in the Champions League. Wouldn't you, Seb?
I would be more worried if we were playing Benfica than if we were playing against Jose Mourinho. I wouldn't want to play against Jose Mourinho, so I'm quite happy with playing Sporting Lisbon instead of them. Even Porto are winning the Portuguese league at the moment. Haven't lost a game. I don't think Benfica's lost a game in the league since Jose came in either. So yeah, out of all of the big Portuguese sides, the one I want to be playing is Sporting Lisbon. Although their new striker Suarez, who's come in as Jokeres' replacement, has been banging them in. He has been banging them in. So as long as we keep him quiet, he'll be all right. I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think we should beat them. But away at Lisbon will be interesting. It will be very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. How difficult is it to beat a United? I'm not even getting into that. We lost it to them at home. Um, got more chance of Gabriel scoring a hat trick. This Jokeres fantasy you have, Anton, is getting out of hand. Dude, he's got 15 goals in all competitions. I mean, what fantasy is it now? I think that's that. I think he's going to get over 20. To be honest, it's not going to be that difficult. Five. If we play 19 games, you don't think he's going to score five? Um, After 22-23 season this year, I feel we have a really good chance to win the champs and Premier League as well. Yeah, again, it's a much different team. A much different team. We don't have to rely on the likes of Rob Holding or even, Kivior. You know, I actually one of the greatest things that's happening to Arsenal this season is that Hincapie is finding form and he's getting settled at the back, and he's winning that competition at the moment. And I think that's only good for Arsenal because, if Calafiori could actually stay fit, it would push him to up his levels too.
Well, the key bits is the previous seasons we haven't been the best team. City have been better than us. We were just playing out, especially in that season where we lost by 2 points. We were just playing out of our skin. We were scoring. Our XG levels were excellent. We had the best defense. Whereas now we do have the best squad. We are better than City at the moment. So that's what I think gives a lot of Arsenal fans hope. It's just like City are behind us and they're worse than us. So I think in the league, it's just the league's the one we all want. I think the league is the bread and butter. That's what we need. That's what Arsenal fans want to see overall. Like, before the season, if you've asked me before the season which one I'd want, I'd have said the Champions League just purely on I'd won. But I can't go 4 years in a row just missing out again. It'll be too painful. So get the league over the line. I'll be pretty happy with the league, to be honest with you. But maybe my standards are low.
That's why it was really nice for that combination of results to happen before we hit the cup, this cup break where we can play the FA Cup and the Champions League, because it has a bit of a nicer feeling in terms of how we feel about our outlook on the league going into these games. And I think it's actually pretty good for us in terms of from a mentality standpoint. Jake replying back to David, Yuckerheads eats in the champs, my friend. I back that sentiment 100%. It's just truth. It certainly looks like we're going to see Bayern in the final, supposing we make it there. I mean, it's easy to say that just based off of one performance where they've won 6-0 today. I don't know if they're doing that against City or Real Madrid or PSG or Liverpool or Chelsea or any of those other players. So Atalanta was the team. If it wasn't for the fact that they were on the dangerous side of the bracket, I would have probably preferred over Leverkusen. So, but again, great win for them. 6-0 without Kane.
Atalanta lost their best player in January as well, which has affected them a lot. But yeah, Bayern Munich are the team that they're the ones we don't really want to play, but we'll probably have to play them eventually. But it'll be a very interesting game if we do.
To be honest, I don't know if I really have a preference. I just think if we're in the Champions League final, I want to know if we would have won the league at that point. And it feels like, a bit of a, maybe not a free swing for us because we've never won the competition, but I think the vibes going into that would be good. We have the way the scheduling is, we wouldn't have played hopefully, by the way, the best thing would be if we would have won the league against Burnley at home 1 game earlier. So that Crystal Palace game would be a write-off at the end of the season. So
I hope we've won the league by I hope we won the league by the West Ham game so we can lose that and then Tottenham get relegated.
Or before the West Ham game. Yeah. Man, City would have to do a lot of... look, if City were to drop points against West Ham and then drop points against Chelsea,
it's
potentially. Yeah. Come on, you Gooners, says Raymondo Jasulu. I like that name. Jake says, no, Seb was right. The domestic cups and the Prem jury's still out on the champs for me. Okay.
Right, so if we do a domestic treble, I don't think anyone... That narrative of, this is a weak league and Arsenal's if we win a domestic treble, all of that chat just immediately goes out the window. That would be incredible if we won a domestic treble. I would take that. If you could go, you're going to get knocked out by Leverkusen, but you win a domestic treble, I'm taking it all day. Easy peasy.
Oh, but you know what? I'm such a competitor that hearing the words "get knocked out by Bayer Leverkusen" makes my heart sink. Even if you followed up with domestic treble,
domestic treble, that would be
I know.
Sick.
No, it's just I just hate talking about losing things. Maybe that's why I'm such a quad guy right now. If we win the UCL or EPL this season, then I'm settled. But I believe we could push some more. Yeah, I absolutely agree, and yeah, we'll get into how I feel that we can set ourselves up for more. Atletico should beat Newcastle if they beat Barca. Yeah, that would be such an interesting.
That would be a really interesting matchup. I think that would be because both teams can be so rigid and defensively strong. It would be such a chess match in that game. It would be really interesting. I'd really actually like to see that. I don't think we've ever seen, especially in modern history, ever seen that fixture happen. But I think that would be a really interesting tie, and I really hope that happens. I think that will happen.
It'd be a very interesting tie.
I think that will happen. in my predictions. I've done Newcastle to go through, so in my predictions this will happen. But yeah, I'd love to see that game just purely on paper. I think that'd be a really interesting watch.
I think it would be a great tie to watch, honestly. And by that point, by the way, you get to see more of the other games, right? Because we'd be sharing a night with somebody. I think it's going to be City again, aren't we?
Probably.
Yeah. I think that's for the scheduling purposes. I think to keep it fair. I think they keep putting us on City on the same nights for the title challenge, title race stuff. Guys, what do you think about the Skelly situation after Hincapie coming in? Again, you know what? If we're gonna just talk about simply on this, again, Miles Lewis Skelly is very young. He's the future. Right now, we're trying to win trophies. And if Miles O'Skelly is not playing as well as Nkapie or he's not playing as well as Calafiori, then he's gotta perform better and win that spot. Although like he's been cooked over and over and over again against multiple winners at multiple different levels this season. That's just the truth. So I'm not really too bothered about it. Like if our academy players come through and they do well, it's because they've really earned that spot. Then you become Bukayo Saka, right? Who went through the academy and now he's the man and nothing stopped him. He won that role. You know what I mean?
I think it's just the key point is Lewis Skelly isn't a left back. He was put in there because we needed him there. In the future, he's just going to transition into that midfield role, which I think is going to suit him. It's going to suit him more. And especially with Marino injured, I expect him to see him in there a bit more. But yeah, I'm not too worried. If he goes out on loan next year, get some experience, as long as we don't do what the thing is with Ethan Wanyeri, who sent him on loan to play under a certain manager, and he goes and gets sacked, and now he's not having a very good time. He missed a penalty the other day. He's not having a great time, Wanyeri. But if we need to loan him out, it's not the end of the world. We've got Calafiori's there as well. For me, Calafiori is our best left back. But I think when you look at the profiles, I think Calafiori is better when Martinelli plays because he can press up high with him. But I think when we're playing a low block, I think Hincapie and Trossard are a better combination. But playing Hincapie and Martinelli at the same time has not really worked out very well. I just don't think they complement each other at all. So even when you're looking at the profiles of who's in the squad, it's different.
What Hincapie was brought in to be, and I said this on our very first pod on here, it was to actually complement Trossard or to complement Eze. So yeah. I still have a full belief that Arteta bought Eze with the idea that he would be our starting left winger. Now Trossard's form was spectacular and higher than we expected him to be this season, and Eze couldn't really win that spot on the left. I think that Villa game didn't do him well because Matty Cash burned him for that first goal, and I think that kind of set off alarm bells in Arteta's head, where he's had to kind of maybe fix his issues in terms of off-ball duties and trying to make him a better defender, because he didn't have to really do that when he was at Crystal Palace, to be honest, because he was just given a free role in the center of the park. Vibe 350, unfortunately, or Skelly, but Hincapie has won the shirt and Cala is ahead of him as well. Even Mascara is probably preferred. I wouldn't put Mascara over Miles Skelly at left back. He's more right-sided.
He was quite good when he had to play at right back the other day. What game was it?
Right back, not left back though.
Yeah, he played because obviously Timber came off injured, or came off resting, and then he was put at right back, and we actually looked a bit better afterwards. So he was actually quite good there, to be fair. So that could be a utilisation. But Arteta loves buying players that have utilisation in multiple positions. That's what he likes buying. That's why he loves Kai Havertz so much, is because he's so versatile. And the same with Skelly. He's versatile. He can play in multiple positions. That's what we like. And there is a future for him in this Arsenal squad. It's just he's so young now. I think people forget that how young he is, and it's just not necessarily where he has to be. It's like when people were asking for Dalman to start earlier in the season. It's just it's just not realistic at all. We're going for a title race. There's a reason why I didn't want Benjamin Šeško, is because I think Šeško overall, long term, would be better than Gyökeres. I think his ceiling's a lot higher. His finishing's really good, but it's just in the position we're in now, we're in a win now situation. You want the older players with experience in there, and unfortunately, Skelly just doesn't have that at the moment. So you want the players like Hincapie's won an unbeaten season. He's won domestic trophies. He's been there and done that. So I think he's going to be extremely important, especially in that Brighton game. He was imperious. So he's made a massive difference. I was slightly confused when we bought him because obviously I was saying we've got Lewis Skelly and Calafiori there, but in the end, he's been one of our most important signings out of everybody. He's actually been really good. And we will probably sign him permanently, but I think it would be an injustice at this point if we didn't sign him permanently. He's been
Actually,
absolutely incredible.
interesting though. Actually, you brought that up. It triggered a conversation that we had when we just signed in my head. Me and you had a slight debate on what he was. You thought he was more of a left
Gonna
center
come as
back, and
centre
I thought
back,
he was a
yeah.
left back. He started as a left center back. I thought he struggled at that position when we was put in there. And I told you from the beginning. I said, you know what? He's a left back. Has your point of view kind of changed on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think well, the thing is because at Leverkusen he quite often played in a back three. So obviously the transition from a back three to a back four, I think would have struggled. It has struggled at some points, but left back seems to be where he's found his home at the moment. So and Calafiori is going to struggle getting back in the squad at the moment. But Calafiori, I think, is
But I
our
think of his
best.
own doing though.
Yeah, well,
More,
Calafiori's been unfortunate with the injuries he's had, really.
yeah.
But I think it just depends what game. In the big games where we're having to be a bit more defensively resolute, like if we played Bayern Munich, I'd rather Hincapié in there. But when we're playing low blocks, because of the runs Calafiori can make off ball and the progressive passing he has in him, I would rather play like against Everton at the weekend. You want Calafiori in against Bayern Munich. I'd rather have Hincapié
But
in.
at
So it's good
Leverkusen,
that we have.
I want Cappy in there because he knows them.
I would
He's their
like.
player.
I would like. Yeah, so it just depends what. But that's the thing with our squad. We've got so many profiles in there that we can adapt to the different situations we're in, and that's what you want. That's why City was so imperious for a long time, because they had such good squad depth.
Yeah. On the multiple trophies topic, for me, it's not a muchness of a muchness. We have so many different options that we can rotate and play and plug and play different games. That's the whole reason why Berta went ahead and bought 8 players in the summer. And now I believe from this point forward is where we really got to see the fruits of that. Because now we can, with having to balance and go for all the competition, people think that Arsenal is going to tire themselves out trying to chase all 4. Well, one of them is one game, and it's nicely spread out with days in between. It's like almost like a Premier League game, like in terms of how the schedule works out. And the other ones, I mean, I just think you can rotate. I think that's we'll get into some of the other ones, but I like in terms of the fixtures that we have. But I think it's turned out nicely. We can actually. I'll give you an example in terms of this position, right? Nkapie can play tonight, Champions League, Premier League against Everton. You get Calafiori in left back, and Southampton in the FA Cup. You can start Miles Lewis-Skelly. They will all play their roles. So for me, it's not like about one particular player being a fixed starter because it's never been the case with Arsenal at all in any position, rather than except for maybe Declan Rice, Raya, Gabriel Saliba, and Saka. And you know what I mean?
Well, even when Saka's been out, Madueke's actually been really good. So it's not even like if Saka's fit, he's a guaranteed starter. But we have depth there now. It wasn't like last year where it was like Saka went down and we were like, oh no, we're screwed now. It's like, oh, Saka's gone down. Oh, we've got Madueke there though. So Madueke is still really good and has some really big performances. Like against Bayern Munich, Madueke was really good, scored a goal. So I'm not too worried about the only injury we can get now that's probably devastating is if Declan Rice goes down because we don't have any. Declan Rice's main cover was Marino, and Marino's out. So if he goes down, that could be massive. Because even if Zubimendi goes down, we still got Norgard there. But yeah, the one injury we don't want at all is Declan. So touch wood, I'm not going to curse it. Hopefully he stays fit. He tends to be a guy that doesn't really pick up injuries. But Ben White was a player that didn't pick up any injuries. He did a bloody interview with Ben Foster and said, "Oh, They literally had a conversation for 10 minutes by going, oh, how do you stay so fit?" And he was like, he doesn't particularly do it. And then he bloody went and got injured like 2 weeks later for a long time. I'm like, you just cursed yourself. So
I know.
as long as we don't curse it, it'll be all right. But
Yeah. After breakout season, sad to see. Yeah, I think more from an England point of view. I was hoping for both Arsenal and England that he could be the starting left back. But Nico O'Reilly has been very, very good for City. He's been playing key games in playing starting at left back for City. So actually, that I mean, from an England point of view, it's good to have Nico O'Reilly. But I would love to prefer it obviously to have been Miles Lewis-Skelly. That's the only part for me that is more of a letdown. I thought he was a great position. He was picked on the first couple of national breaks, and then he
yeah.
lost out, and that made big headlines. Unfortunately, guys, the chat are coming in. Okay, Same Seb. Just give me the league for fuck's sake. Everything else is a nice bonus. Um, okay, big up, Chada Porn Kokio Himi 399. I'm watching you from Thailand. Oh, thank you. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. Um, that would be very, very cool. If you could do that. Um, Jake goes, come on, Anton, 3 trophies after none for 6 years. Don't be greedy. Look, I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm just looking at how everything is falling. Originally, I said, Premier League and Champions League. That's how I started off. I just was wanting majors, but we're 1 win away from winning the Carabao Cup, and potentially 3 wins away from winning the FA Cup as well. So it's not out of the realms of possibility. I think if we get to April and this dream is still alive, I don't think it's greedy. Okay, we would have one in the bag. We would have what? We would have only played one. Well, you would just be after this weekend. We play one more Premier League fixture in March. We have 7 games to go in the Prem. Why not? All right, let's move on. Speaking of the Carabao Cup, because we've gotten through all the comments. Thanks, everybody. How are you feeling, though? Manchester City at Wembley. It's a straightforward question, though. Do you think that we get it done? Oh, by the way, to recap the Champions League, though. Yay or nay for you? Ultimately, in your heart of hearts.
Will we win the Champions League? Yeah, why
I know
not?
you're going to go safe. All right.
Yeah, we're doing it. Go on. Yeah.
There's one in the bag. Here we go. One.
I think we'll definitely make the final. We will. I think I'm very confident making the final, but it's the Champions League. We've never won it before, so I can't go fully. But yeah, why not? We'll win it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
My logic is, and I've said it already, and big up Jake. You're here watching, and he said it to me, which is, by the time we get there, that's the very last one. If we would have won the Premier League, we're a totally different monster mentality wise, and the pressure is off. Like in terms of if we had won other trophies and other competitions, it feel less stressful. If we were to go to the finals, we would have blown the Premier League, we would have lost the final of the Carabao Cup and got knocked out of the FA Cup. Then we're talking about a different situation. So the way I see it is just like all the draws, and then just kind of how we are at each of these events come into play. So we start off with Leverkusen. Let's see what it looks like tonight, and then we move on to the second leg and see if we advance. I like our chances if it's Sporting Lisbon, even if it's Bodo. So that's a nice, tasty fixture on the other side. So, look, I've said from the beginning of the season, I thought that Arsenal are winning the champs for the first time, which would be freaking phenomenal. Anyway, let's move on to 22nd of March, Arsenal against Manchester City. What are you feeling? Like you can see how kind of like the schedule on either side going up into that, Arsenal and City, the form, like we obviously come up off of increasing the lead to 7. They've dropped points to Forest. How do you feel about how in a one-off game at Wembley, though, like how it would, play out in your mind?
I always back us at Wembley just because our record there is really good, even when we're particularly bad. Like that season, the last FA Cup we won, Chelsea were a better team than us at that point, but we still got the job done at Wembley. So Wembley's kind of like a second home for us with one more FA Cups than Eddie won. So Wembley is a big stadium that we like playing in. Obviously, we haven't played City in a final for a while at Wembley, and the last time they did, we got battered. But this is a completely different scenario. As long as when you look at both teams, as long as we turn up, we play our best team, we should be winning this game. I think we will win this game. I think just City's frailties at the back, especially they won't have Gahey in this game, so it'll probably be Kusanov, Diaz backline, I assume, or Alien. I doubt Alien will start a final though, but yeah. And City might rotate their goalkeeper. They sometimes
love if they started him.
I assume they're going to rotate the goalkeeper. They usually do in cups, but obviously it's a final against Arsenal, so Donnarumma.
If we don't have to play Donnarumma,
I'd keep. I know it's a risk. I'd keep Kepa in goal just because he's made it here. I think he deserves to start. I think just because if we get to a Champions League final, Raya's going to start. Raya starts always in the league. I would start Kepa in the final. Personally, it's a risk, but I'll do it. But yeah, I think we will win on the day. I just think we'll have too much. City won't have a Gahey in there, so I think that goes into our favour. We're playing at Wembley. Obviously,
True.
Pep's in the past has moaned that the finals are always at Wembley because he has to travel. So that's even in our favour that we don't have to do much
In
travelling.
what world has the final FA Cup ever been in Manchester?
Never. Well, it was in Cardiff for a bit.
It was at Villa Park a few times.
But yeah, I think
Back in
everything's
the
in our
old days, my
favour
dad
here.
told me that. Yeah.
We've got an easier run in the league leading up to the final. City are still having to play their full squad. They've got a harder run in the Champions League right now. They're going to have to play their full squad. We can afford to rest players. So we should be a bit fitter. Our squad's a bit deeper this time. I want to see Eze start in this final. He scored against City in a cup final last year, so I think Eze needs to start in this game. I'd be starting Trossard. I think Martinelli needs to come off on the bench later on in the game. Gyökeres obviously will start. But yeah, I think we'll win this game. I'm struggling. It will be a very tough game. Obviously, playing City in the final. City have been here so many times. They have the experience on their side. They've been in this. They won the League Cup final 4 or 5 times in a row. This was their competition for a long time. So it is going to be a big game. They want to win this tournament. You've seen how passionate Pep is in the cup competitions. You saw the fire he got in that game against Newcastle. So this is a tournament that Pep will want to win. He's going to be putting out a full squad. But yeah, I think we're just going to have too much for City. Obviously, Haaland can turn up in these games.
Thing is massive, though.
But that's the key bit. The key bit for me is Gahey's not there. They have got better since Gahey's come in. They've still conceded chances, but without him in there, I think we should get the job done, and I think we will. I think it'll be a tight game. We'll win this. I think 2-1. I could see a 2-1 win. I predicted that when Man United beat them in the final. I said Man United would beat them 2-1. My gut feeling saying we're going to win, and I usually listen to my gut. So, yeah, I think 2-1 win. I think we'll get that one over the line, and it's going to give us such confidence. I can't, especially in the situation where we've had interviews from Saliba saying how hungry they are to win a title. The players are going to be so up for this, and I think it could be crucial. And I think, yeah, we'll get over the line. It would be different if Gahey was there. I think it would be then, I think it'd be 50-50. But even our record, like against City in recent years, we've beaten them in the Community Shield at Wembley. We've beaten them consecutively. We obviously drew at home this season. City haven't beaten us for a couple of years. So our record against City recently has actually been quite good. But yeah, if we lose this game, it could be massive. I think it could be huge if we do lose this game. I don't want to even consider us losing it. But I think
I don't even like to put that out into the universe. To be honest, I think when people talk about this game and how they think this game will play out, people keep saying it's 50-50. I feel like people are forgetting the fact that Gahey's cup tied. I think people are forgetting that. I think it was a big deal because Pep was trying to appeal it and all this stuff, and he was making headlines, but then it's kind of like fallen into the background here, and people have forgotten that. It's like people assuming he's going to play. I think I've heard someone say, Gahey, since Gahey and Diaz have been together, that'll be harder for Arsenal. And now you bring up the point. I'm like, yeah, he's not playing. Like, this is the thing. What Jake just said. I've never just skipped the queue on comments, but hopefully Madrid. This is my ideal scenario. Madrid win tonight by a 1-goal margin, and then the two of them have to go play extra time in the second leg, go to penalties. Let's say, I think regardless if they go to penalties, the result is irrelevant in terms of the final. I would prefer them to have won it, but maybe if they, lose to Madrid on penalties, let's say you have to play them on penalties, they all of a sudden are like, have got the ghosts of just having gone out on penalties a few days earlier in their head. There's so many things that could play out here between now and then, which is going to be really interesting in my mind.
I think the thing is, a lot of people are hoping City go further because obviously there'll be more fixture congestion. I'm the opposite. I want them to go out these competitions just because the mentality hit they're going to get from going out early in the Champions League, I think that's bigger than the fixture congestion. We saw it with Arsenal where we went out in that Europa League and we're like, I can focus on the league now, and we deteriorated. I think the players need regular football, that rotation in there to keep their momentum going. Because if they do have a poor week in the league, but then go and beat a team like Real Madrid, it can really spur them on. I want them to get beaten by Real Madrid. Their confidence drops even more. We beat them in that League Cup final. Their confidence could be through the floor at that point. So I'm the opposite. I want them to get beaten. I think that could be more important to us than them, because we've seen City go into. They've done a treble before. They've thrived in these situations where they've had multiple games. Obviously, they don't have the squad the same as anymore. I really wish Semenyo was also cup tied, because Semenyo is fantastic. I got to hold my hands up there and admit, I think already that I was wrong. I was worried that
Yeah,
Semenyo
I
wouldn't.
was too.
I didn't think Semenyo would, because of the way his XG was lying at them. He was completely overperforming his XG in that Bournemouth squad. But he's just gone into City and he's just carried on. He's been imperious. He's been their best player since they've signed him. Like, Haaland's dropped off a bit of a cliff for him and his standards, but Semenyo's just picked it up. Without him, I think they would be a lot further behind in that title race. So Semenyo could be key here. He's an Arsenal supporter, so it would be heartbreaking to see him score against us in a final after I going, I don't want him. It's the same with when I said I didn't want Kvaratskhelia because I thought Martinelli was better than him at that point. That was shocking for me. That was terrible. In hindsight, I'm like, the thing is, I said that in a position where so far that season, Martinelli had more goals, more assists, a higher XG conversion rate. So I was just like, at that point in time, Kvaratskhelia was playing in a worse league and not putting up as good a numbers. So to me, it was, what would be the point? But then he went to PSG and then he just accelerated into a player we thought he was going to be. So, yeah, Semenyo is going to be huge in that game as well. But I want them to get knocked out by Real Madrid, get their confidence down, beat them in that final. It could end them. Honestly, their mentality would just be defeated. Going out 2 competitions in a row, that's what I want to see. I don't want them going through. I want them going out.
Look, I'm happy either way. This is the rebuttal from Jake, which goes, imagine the mentality had to go out to Bayern 4 days before the Arsenal game. Sorry, in the league.
So, yeah, I genuinely think them going out at any point is more helpful to us than them going through.
Maya, I have to turn off this pod after hearing that take. What's the take that turned you off, Maya?
Oh, wait, thanks for...
Kvaratskhelia and Martinelli. Yeah, I know. But you know what? Seb is just being honest. You know, he made that take and he's telling you that the take is wrong. He admits that he was wrong, but that was pretty left field, even for last year, bro. I mean, I've gone on about the Martinelli take. Honestly, either scenario works where we just need to do our jobs regardless. Yeah, 100%. And by the way, in the league though, we might not even need the Bayern thing in the league because they got this. If they drop points to West Ham and they drop points to Chelsea, that there's a lot less jeopardy going into that Etihad game. I mean, and if anything, I think the onus would be on us. If we would have won that, I think it would be a foregone conclusion that we won the league. Let's say they draw against West Ham and we win against Everton, then the point leads goes up to 9. I'll give them a draw at Stamford Bridge, even though I think, that's a good chance for Chelsea to take 3. If I were going to see them drop 3 points, I'll just give them a point there. Just that would make the lead out to 11 with a game in hand, but we would have 6 games to go, right? So even if they beat Crystal Palace and they beat us, it would be then down to 5, but we would have like 4 games left after that. So
I think the last teams you want to be playing right now are those that are in the relegation battle, because they will fight for every ball. Like, it's even more. We've got West Ham as well coming up, and we've seen West Ham in the past in title races have taken points off us. So West Ham could be crucial in this title race because they've got to play both of us. But yeah, that I wouldn't want to be playing West Ham right now. I think they will beat West Ham. We did just see Liverpool. Liverpool beat them on the scoreline. It was comfortable, but in reality, it wasn't. So West Ham is a hard game. I do think they'll win that. The Chelsea game's crucial. Chelsea can beat anyone on their day. It just depends what Chelsea actually turn up. Because obviously that game they turned up against in the Carabao Cup, where they just sat there, was horrendous. But when you look at the form, the only team that's managed to beat Rosinha is Arsenal. We're the only ones that have beaten them since Rosinha's come in. So that will be a big game. And Chelsea need the points just as much as City do, because Chelsea need to get Champions League football for their finances. They're in a really difficult position when it comes to FFP. Everyone's seen the financial reports. They're 400 million down. They haven't got hotels and a women's football team to sell off anymore. So they really do need that Champions League football. So Chelsea are going to be up for the game Reece James is a fantastic player. He can be big in that game. We've seen Man City struggle from corners and set pieces this year. So I think that if Chelsea can do us a favour in that game, whatever happens in a 2-game stretch, I think City will drop points in one of those games. I think they will.
Know what makes the West Ham game dangerous, Seb? The fact that I think that that's the game they rotate in, and West Ham are going to be desperate for the points. So, like that's what makes that a banana skin.
That's what I'm saying. The last teams I want to be playing right now is Forest and West Ham. I think Tottenham are a bit different just because they're so low in confidence. It's a miracle that Tottenham got that draw against City because they were down and out in that game. City should have killed them off and they couldn't. That's the thing is everyone's going on about Arsenal's mentality and possibly bottling it. But City repeatedly have been comfortable in games and they've just not seen the game out. The same as the reverse fixture. Chelsea, interim manager who's never been in this position before. They're up in the game. They were dominating the play, should have scored, and then they go and concede last minute. So it's just this mentality from City, because people say they've been there, done that. There's several players in that squad who are regulars that haven't. Like Semenyo has been brought in. He's been really good, but he hasn't been in this position before in his life. This is the biggest team he's ever played for. Haaland's off the boil right now. Obviously, if Haaland gets going, anything can happen, but he's having a bit of an off time at the moment. But it's just like Gahey, who's been brought in, hasn't been in the title race position before. Diaz is getting older. Bernardo's just getting more frustrated as the games go, or he just seems to moan constantly all the time. Their mentality just seems to be absolutely all over the place.
They're not already making the excuses. That tells me a lot. Like people aren't reading into that enough because
they're rattled. They're not taking any responsibility for any of the points they're dropped. Fucking Rodri, most players who done what Rodri did would get at least a 1-match ban. He gets fined £80,000. So the fact he's gone on a rant that obviously the PSG don't want Man City winning the title, but they seem to be getting favourable decisions over and over again. Like that. Like, how is it? Why, one, did it take so long? And two, why is it so good for City that Rodri's only been fined? So it's just like their mentality is just all over the place right now, which is strange because we've never seen Man City this rattled before. When they're in the title races with Liverpool, they were not this rattled. They're not. They clearly are. It's getting to the players. Like even as I'm not one on the celebration, please. I think they should celebrate as much as they can, especially that game against Liverpool. But it's like whenever they score, like that Rodri goal they scored against Forest, the celebrations, they're going absolutely wild and the game's not finished. It's just like the things that we've been tagged with and been used to beat us over the head with in the previous years. City are doing it right now, and it's really strange to see from a Pep team that they're this like emotional as well. It's just
even the way
crazy.
They celebrated after they beat Newcastle, the way they celebrated after they beat Liverpool. It was like with intensity and ferocity. The Liverpool one I got because had they not won that day, I think that they might have started to focus elsewhere.
It would have been like a 9-point gap at that point. They had to win that game. Yeah.
But like the rest of them, like it's just funny how, Gary Neville on the same night he tells Arsenal not to celebrate, scoring goals against Spurs in a North London derby. He goes ahead and says, I could see the mind games that Pep Guardiola is playing with having his players celebrate the way they did against Newcastle. I'm like, make that make sense then, because it's okay for them to, they're sending a message, but when we're doing it, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Like,
see, I'm really happy with the comments Pep made in his interview the other day where he said this is the hardest league, because it gives such credence to what a lot of us have been saying, where the reason why a lot of teams are dropping points is because the league is so good with quality. Even a guy, I can't remember who said it worked at UEFA, is saying it's a problem that the Premier League is stockpiling talent. But when you're getting to a point where UEFA are worried about the level of quality in the Premier League, Pep Guardiola is coming out and saying this is the hardest it's ever been. It gives such credence to how good Arsenal have been this year when we're finding a way to win. Yes, it's not the most exciting way of playing. For the mutual, it's going to be even more annoying because we're not. But when we were playing free-flowing football, we weren't getting over the line. So we're finding a way of winning. It's frustrating everybody because we're doing it in a dogged, pragmatic style of play sometimes. And it's just the way we're finding a way. Pep Guardiola at the moment isn't. He's still sticking to the way he wants to play football. And at the moment, in the current footballing climate, it's not working. So obviously there is a chance that City can click and they could go on a run. But it's not. The forward line is fine. They will score a lot of goals, but it's their back line that's been susceptible. Rodri hasn't got the legs that he had a couple of years ago where he could just sweep everything up. He's struggling in the middle by himself. So it's just the way to get overloaded at times. The counter press is not on the same as it was. So everything's coming in our favour at the moment. As long as we can keep the squad fit, I think the Premier League. I think I would be. This is the most disappointed I'd be if we did lose it from here, because the first season we're in a title race. It was unexpected for us to be in that position anyway. No one even. A lot of people didn't even predict us top 5 that year. So that one was understandable. We had a thin squad. That year we lost out by 2 points. We lost one game at a run-in. And then last year we were kind of out of the title race by February. We focused on the Champions League. But this year it's in our hands. We have the better squad. We have the better squad depth. We're playing better. We're playing better. So if we did end up losing it from this position, I think it would be devastating. And the mentality effect that could have on our players, I think, could be detrimental, because it's in a position where it's in their hands. And so we've got to get it over the line, and I think we will. City have got a much harder run in. The key bit is we've still got, I think, 6 home fixtures left, whereas City have got more away games, which is crucial. So yeah, it's just we've got to get this over the line this time, and I think we will. I think we will. I think we'll
that's
win
basically the Premier League cover. So we end up the two ended up kind of working hand in hand. I probably should have done that to begin with, honestly. But from what I hear from you, Seb, is you said we're going to win the Champions League. You said we're going to win the Cup final. You feel confident about that, and now you feel like we're going to win the league.
Yeah, so, we've got that. To be fair, we have the squad depth for it. No one before, obviously, Man United won their treble. No one would have gone. Everyone would, obviously there wasn't the social media world there, but people would have been sat around in pubs with their mates. No one would have gone, oh, United are winning the treble this year. There wasn't really any talk of when City did it beforehand going, they're definitely, because there was points in that season where they looked shaky, but they ended up doing it. So no one predicts anyone to do it until they do it. So I think it is possible. It's just obviously it's a very hard thing
breaking
to predict.
It down for me, like when you say, and we're going to get to obviously the FA Cup, which is what will be remaining. But when you say, which I think, by the way, is the key to it all, actually. But when you say, oh, yeah, we win the quadruple, it sounds crazy when you say it as a statement. But for me, the whole idea of this exercise is when you break it down, considering where we are in the season, we're 70% of the way through all fixtures in the season. It's still on the table, which is the latest it's been in our season as a club where that's been a possibility. And then you look at the fixtures that we have ahead of us, and you go, it's like, it's not that daunting or impossible. I think the biggest key thing here is that has led to this idea is that Arsenal finished first in the Champions League without defeat. But I want to see that translate now to a knockout tie, because it's like, I've always had this fear of like, okay, Liverpool last year did something similar, but then last 16 they drew PSG. They actually went out in this round. I want us to go out and set a marker down against Leverkusen, and at that point, people are going to be looking at us and be like, "Oh wow!" Like if it won't happen, but if we could do tonight what Bayern Munich did yesterday, a lot of people will start to really open up their eyes and be like, wow.
Well, the thing is, I think the Champions League draw is key to this, Trevor, because like even if say I think the FA Cup would be the one tournament where we would start to rest players, but we have Saints away, which is not an easy game. But then we'll likely have Bodo Glimt or Sporting Lisbon in the next round of the. So it's not like we get through this round and we got a really tough away
between those games.
Yeah, it's like it's worked out so well for us. So like I think the only time I've ever like pretty much all season I've not considered the treble or the quadruple being a thing. That's I've blocked that on my mind. But when you look at the draw that's just happened and then the FA Cup draw, it couldn't have gone any better. Like, unless we obviously got Port Vale, but it's just like it is possible when you look at it and going, you know what, we have space to rotate here, whereas City just don't have that space to rotate whatsoever. They just don't, which is why I thought City would get knocked out by Newcastle in the FA Cup, just because
Me too.
They did do the rotation. They did do a lot of heavy rotation, but just Newcastle
10 changes and still beat Newcastle.
Newcastle just didn't turn up in that second half. They just didn't. It was really shocking to me. It's just like City have got Newcastle's number. It's like Newcastle can be resolute against pretty much everybody, apart from City for some reason. Apart from Marmoush, he's like their kryptonite. But we have
Against
space to
Barcelona,
rotate.
look better tonight. Like, where was
Mm.
that?
It's just Newcastle are just a weird team at the moment. Like, they're going to finish mid-table, but everyone's still like every week you're like, oh, could Newcastle win? It's just like they're just they're just a bit mediocre at the moment. Newcastle, I think. Obviously, we're talking about Arsenal, but Newcastle are trying to transition into a more possession-based style of play from where they were, and obviously that transition period has not been as easy. Because obviously before they were thriving in transition, being a low block hard team to beat, and they're trying to be more possession based. Without Bruno Guimaraes in there, they've struggled a little bit. But yeah, City the fixture congestion is the key bit here. If we had been drawn on the other side of the Champions League draw, then I'd be like, yeah, that quadruple. I think that's out the window because we're going to have to focus so heavily on the Champions League. Whereas we've got an easier run. It depends who we get. If we get through the next round of the FA Cup, and we get a really hard draw in that, it'll be interesting to see if Arteta rotates for that. Because we got to the League Cup semi-final and people were expecting a bit of rotation there, and we didn't really. We played a really strong squad and Chelsea rested players. So it'll be really interesting. I think
If we go to the
this year,
semi-final though in the FA Cup, you're at Wembley, so
you kind of have to play a stronger squad when you're playing at Wembley. It would be a bit remiss, especially if we do end up doing a treble and then we kind of rest players for an FA Cup tie and we don't end up doing it. But yeah, the fixture congestion here is key, and the squad depth where we have. Ødegaard's going to come back in. Ødegaard's going to be. He's been slagged off a lot, but I think he's going to be very important in this run-in. Like he's still one of our best players. He is. I think it's just some games his confidence been a bit low, but he's very good in those positions where, in those games against Wolves, in those games against Brentford, you needed him in there to control the game, and he just wasn't there. And I think we've seen in certain positions where we've struggled without him. I think Eze is much better in the attack, but Ødegaard is such a different profile. I think Ødegaard would work well at the 8 as well if we could play Eze and Ødegaard in the same midfield. Maybe drop Bazumba Mendy.
I keep saying, Seb, and it's not happened yet. But now that we're into this part, I just want to see Arteta play it and see how it goes, which is Eze on the left, Ødegaard on the 10, Saka on the right, Gyökeres up front with Rice and Zubimendi, and see how that goes. Because that for me is feeding your best footballers in the same team. And then the back four, if you have Nkapia on the form he's on now, mix that with Saliba and Gabriel and Timber, White, whoever you pick your poison. They're most likely Timber.
I think if you play Eze on the left, you can put Calafiori in there. He'll make the overlapping runs on the left-hand side, so we'll still have some width out there, because you do want Eze to drift inside, because that's where he thrives. Correct. But if you've got a player like Calafiori, he can go up there with him, especially in games where we've got like Everton. If we're playing teams that are going to sit in a low block, you can afford to play a bit more freely and play a bit more forward thinking. We don't need to necessarily play, like, even in a position where if we're at home against a weaker side, play a midfield of Rice, Ødegaard and Eze, because you've still got the control in there. You can still rely on Rice being a defender. I think Zubimendi's played every single minute in the Premier League. He can afford to get some rest. I think he needs a bit more rest in there. So if you're playing a low block, maybe play all of them in there. See what happens. Obviously, if you're losing a bit of control, which I don't think, because having Rice and Ødegaard in there is that is total control in the midfield, and then you've got Eze in there anyway. But then you've even got Havertz coming back, so we're spoilt for choice in there as well. So obviously, I'd quite like to see Havertz come back in. We've already seen him have a really good partnership with Gyökeres. I think Eze's had a really good partnership with him in the last few games.
Havertz coming back home tonight, though.
Yeah, we seem to just be finding Gyökeres a lot more now, and I think Gyökeres has been. We're seeing his runs. He's getting the ball a lot more. His hold-up play's been really good. Gyökeres has grown into this side, and he's growing into the side at the right time. Like, no one's going to care if he stops scoring in the league. If we get to the later stages of these competitions and he's scoring goals, because Drogba wasn't known to be prolific, but in the big games, Drogba would always turn up, and he won Chelsea trophies. That's why Drogba's a legendary striker, not because of the numbers he put up, what he did in the big games. So what Gyökeres done in a semi-final against Chelsea, scoring in the Champions League games, that's where we want him to be, because where we struggled to get over the line last year, especially against PSG, we had the chances against PSG. We just couldn't put the game to bed. We couldn't score those goals. That's what we brought Gyökeres in for, is these big games. And that's what we need him for. So as long as he's doing that, then I'm more than happy with where he is at. But we need him. We need him now, and we need him in these big games because we've spent a lot of money on him. He's earning a lot of money. He needs to turn up in these big games, and I think he will. With a lot more space in the Champions League, he's going to get more space. We're going to see the best of him.
Yeah, and that's sort of the vision I've sort of had throughout the whole year, which is getting to this part of the season. Everybody's like so obsessed with everybody's form in December and January and writing players off at that time, and I'm like, it's about now. For me, starting tonight. I mean, I know you had the Mansfield game, but I felt like that was the Mansfield game, with all due respect, and they gave us a great game. Let's not, disregard that completely. But I think starting tonight is when we're really starting the business, right? You got the knockout rounds of the Champions League. We're into the quarterfinal stages of the FA Cup. We got a final in the Carabao Cup coming up. And of course, we got, the final 8 games for us in the Prem. So every one of these players, I feel, are going to, from this point onwards, make a contribution to said trophies if we are going to get there. I think they're all gonna get an opportunity to make a marker, and that includes Miles Lewis-Kelly. If Miles Lewis-Kelly comes in, plays a really good performance against Southampton, even solid, and gets us through to Wembley, for me, job done. Like Christian Norgard gets a good performance in midfield at Southampton, lets us through to Wembley. Amazing. He's going to have to come on in relief at certain times as well, which like he did against Brighton crucially, and he's going to play a big role. Gyökeres is going to score big goals. Madueke and Eze got us through in that last round, just by the way, already. Like, so Eze comes off the bench, scores a banger in a sticky situation, puts us through. Like, everyone's going to play their role. Trossard, Martinelli already has on multiple occasions this year. You already mentioned Gyökeres. I think they all. I think Odegaard will. It's a nice ace to have in the pocket. You know what I mean? At this point of the season. So, that's just sort of how I feel on that. Jake goes, the way we think is shaping up, a generational stinker of Haram ball park bus is coming from Arteta at the Etihad. At least get a point there, and they will sink their hopes regardless.
I think I agree with him there, though, because every City fan you listen to, their point is, technically we're only 1 point behind them because we'll win our game in hand and we'll beat them at the Etihad. So if we just go there and get a draw, that kind of kills off a lot. They need to beat us. We can go there and get a draw. I'm more than happy to go there, do a stinker, get out there with a draw, because that's another game gone, and that's points where we're guaranteeing, we're dropping points, but they're all
everyone's assuming that they're beating us, and every people's bit of analysis, they're assuming that we're losing to them. And for me, that just keep doing it, because I actually think that might be the least likely result. I mean, knowing how we played the whole year, you think that just because we go away from home to Manchester City that we're going to fold. You see the way they played us when they came to us. They were scared. They played like pussies, sorry to say, but like that's how they kind of approach the game. The way they self-defeat us in their complaints to the media. Again, people need to like kind of read between the lines and see what's going on here for me. And I don't see that. So I mean that's kind of where I get my confidence from. It's good for me, it's good to create some separation just to relieve the anxiety and make these final crucial part of the season a lot more manageable, that we can navigate our way through them, because having that little bit of a cushion definitely helps. Jake goes, the Toon deserved to beat Barca. The pen was called in the 5th. Yeah, I know. Absolutely nuts. I agree with the discourse here of the midfield, but Arteta isn't going to change the double pivot that has worked all season this close to getting over the line. But he may, though, just so that he keeps players fresh and that we're not losing players to injury. I think he'd rather play Odegaard in midfield there rather than risk losing Zubimendi for the rest of the season.
But even give Norgard a few more minutes. Like, we brought him in and we haven't played him a lot. Just bring him in, play him in some of these games, especially even if you want to start Zubimendi. He gets to 60th, 70th minute, bring Norgard on. He was really good when he came on the other day. I think he is a professional. He's a top professional. He's obviously got the age on his side. He's got the experience of playing in the Premier League. Bring him on a bit more. Like that's what we brought him in for. So I think even
Mm.
then, I think it's just to me, Zubimendi looks tired in a lot of these games, which I can't blame him because he's played every bloody minute. So at least give him a little. We obviously rested him in the cup, but sometimes I just don't think we need him for the full game. He can come off. We don't need
I think
him
this
all
last
the
week
time,
was great. The fact he got away with not including Rice or Zubimendi in the trip to Mansfield at all,
which is good.
and I was chef's kiss, and that was all that we needed from me. I think we're well set up now. I think you're going to see an Arsenal team that's going to be a little bit more energized tonight, hopefully. Um, but let's see. Big up, Nate. Always good to see him. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, look, things have been the schedule have been whacked off because of changes personnel wise for my channel. So yeah, I've ended up doing shows directly after the games, Nate. So if I generally go on the football tear, so straight after that, I generally will come on and we'll do a show here because that's when I can really get Jake on at the moment as well. So yeah, it's just kind of just been the way it's been. But I'm working on getting us a regular live schedule. This show is the template for that. At
Especially
the
because
moment.
Anton, you live in Australia, so it's just like the time zones. Like for you, when you're like, I'll get on after that, and I'm like, to me, it's like this is midnight. I need to go to bed.
Yeah, I
I
know.
can't get.
I know. See, that's always the great thing about Cal, man, is he lived in Brisbane. We're 1 hour apart time wise, and we're
Yeah.
just like,
Whereas
hey, you
for
know
us,
what?
it's a bit
Let's
of a.
go.
It's been quite
Yeah,
hard trying to find a time that we can both do at the same time. Like for you, what was it? It must be like 11
it's
midnight.
11 right now. Yeah, I
Yeah,
gotta get.
for me, it's
And the
midday.
game starts
So
at 4:45 in the morning
yeah,
coming up.
like the
So
only reason I could hop on today is because I don't start work till like if I'm moving to a new job soon. So at the moment I start at 2 o'clock. Once I'm on a normal work schedule, then it will be even harder because these times during the day that I'm off when you're late at night is not good. So it's so hard. Like I just wish if you'd moved to England, just I'm just throwing it out there. Just move to England. Just move to England.
you know what? If there
Uproot
was
your whole life.
any country I was gonna move to, it would be to England. I swear. By the way, I'm planning on coming to the UK for a holiday later this year. So definitely when that happens though, we gotta hook up and hang out.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be good.
yeah, it would be good. Um, Jake goes, everyone out here saying Mansfield gave us a game, we rotated and experiment. Yeah, we did, but at the same time, they did. They gave us their all. Like, it's the magic of the FA Cup. Like, you know what? It was actually kind of a fun game to watch. And yeah, at the end of the day, I'm starting to just not really care what other people think. Like, there's just some people who just want to moan. I've seen a lot of our fans. Oh, this was terrible. We're Manfield. It looks so bad. I'm like, yeah, but put the context into it. We rotated so many damn players, and the idea was that we can rotate, still get through to the next round, and that's it. That's the simplicity of what was the task,
I
and we
think
fulfilled it.
the biggest disappointment from the Mansfield game for me was just Martinelli he just didn't do anything. Like he's playing
Yeah.
no disrespect to Manfield, he's playing a League One level side, and some of the decision making from me, I was just like, what is he doing? Like honestly, it was just like to that point, I was just like, maybe we need. I know it's a bit drastic after one game, but I'm like, maybe we need to find another solution. He was so bad. Like the thing is with Martinelli, he gets really frustrating because when we're
He'll
playing a
score
low block
tonight.
in the
He'll
league.
score tonight. You know
He'll
that.
probably go and score tonight, but it's just like anytime I doubt him, he ends up scoring. But it's just like when he plays a low block in a league, he looks absolutely useless. But then we play someone like he thrives. I think he'll do really well in La Liga just because of the nature of La Liga where the high lines are at. It will get so much more space. But it's just like Martinelli's. I think he's a good squad player where we can bring him on late in games where he gets space. But at the moment, starting him, he's just not. He's just not effective enough. In that game, I was expecting so much more of him. Like there was so many times where he was down there on the left, had overlaps going and it's like he was trying too hard sometimes to like, oh, it's Mansfield, I'll try and dribble, I'll do a little flick or anything else, just like play simple football. If you play simple football against Mansfield, we're better than them. You just kill them off, and it just was. It was just like honestly, I you saw in the group chat, I lost my mind a little bit with him, but honestly, I don't
I did a
usually
little bit. You should. I was sitting next to my girlfriend watching the game, and when their goal goes in, I'm literally just sitting there, my mouth open. I don't think I said a word for about 3 minutes. I was like,
I was flabbergasted. Like
oh, it was
I'm not a guy to like get necessarily angry or reactive to anything. I'm usually quite relaxed. even though
Yeah, I
internally my body,
know.
my heart is screaming. I'm usually
You
trying.
rarely rage in the chat.
I
Like
rarely
I
do, but that game was just frustrating because I was looking forward to that game purely on the basis of I was probably a bit naive, but I went, we've had some really stressful games, especially coming off the back of the Brighton game midweek. It's a game where I can relax, enjoy it again, like the Portsmouth
same.
game. I can sit there, relax, score a few goals. It'd be nice. But then it just turned into the most tense game ever, and I'm like,
I
Jesus, I
know.
didn't want this, man. I didn't want it, and it just ended up turning into a stressful game, and that's what was frustrating me because Martinelli should have been an outball in that game, and he was just terrible. He was
Yeah.
rubbish. So it's just I lost my rag a little bit, but we got through in the end, so it was fine. It worked out fine in the end, but
Yeah.
it was probably the first time
It's
this
a
season
great
I've did
segue to
feel it.
talk about the FA Cup because, and yeah, maybe I'll just quickly read some of these comments, but the FA Cup is coming up now. An Arsenal win at Etihad is game over for sure. Yeah, I think 100%. He agrees with you, Seb. Agreed. Norgard is more than capable and has been good every time we've seen him. Yeah, yeah. I think he took him a while at the start of the season. I didn't really like some of his appearances, but he's gotten better as the season has progressed. And I think that's got to do with a lot of our signings. It's just about getting used to it being at a new club and realizing what your role is. Um, well, yeah, we're 16 hours apart, which is freaking crazy. Yeah, all the way back in the United States. It's 2 p.m. here now in CPT, 8 hours to kick off. CPT. What?
I have no idea what that meant. I don't know what
I'm
that
gonna look that up. I'm gonna
PPT is that
guess
like central something time maybe?
CPT time. That is Cape Town.
Cape Town.
Oh,
Oh, no.
nice. No, Nate, you're in South Africa. There you go. This tells you Cape Town.
Nice.
Um, Wolves, Forest, Brighton, Mansfield. We should have been the feet up and chill games, but in the fact the Spurs Chelsea games were these. I wouldn't say the Chelsea one was an easy one.
But the Spurs
Uh,
one definitely.
the Spurs one definitely was. What was easier, Seb? I don't have to disrespect Spurs, but you know what? They're in the relegation zone. What was an easier game, Wigan or Spurs?
Spurs. The thing is, even when we conceded against Spurs, it was kind of like we're getting so many chances. There wasn't really any time in that game not stressed out. The Wigan game was interesting because I was at the Wigan game. We kind of dominated the early stages, but we kind of like we scored and then we were up so much we took our foot off the gas. And that second half it was a nothing burger anyway. So I'd still say Wigan was easier, but that Spurs game was just annihilation. Like it was so easy. It was ridiculous. In my entire life, I've never seen Spurs like I still struggle to get comprehend what's going on because I've never seen Spurs this bad. Like Spurs have been like mid-table in the past when I was a kid and stuff, but I've never seen them this bad. Like
No.
I honestly, my prediction at the start of the year, I thought they'd get top five. I thought Frank would come in and sort them out. It's just gone the opposite way. I'm genuinely, I never saw this coming. I genuinely didn't see this coming. I know in the league they were bad last year, but there are a lot of injuries and they were prioritising European competition. They've just been awful. And
I
Sack
think
and
they will
Frank,
be in
they've
the
been worse.
relegation zone by next week.
Yeah, I think they lose. They'll definitely lose to Liverpool this week.
I think they,
It's just
they
like
I think they lose to Forest head to head.
it's just the players. The players' mentality is in the bin. Like when you've been watching yesterday, they're slipping about all over the place. They're not trying to recover. Like that game against Crystal Palace, it's just like basic errors. Like you're 1-0 up and your best centre back is just pulling a guy down. But there's just no fight there. Usually teams get more resolute when they go down to 10 men because they park there and they get stronger, they get more compact. It's just so bad. Honestly, it's hilarious. But I did, even as an Arsenal fan, for Kinski last night, I felt for him because I was just like,
Mm.
I don't want to see, even though I hate Spurs, I don't want to see a player like treated like that by his own club. It's ridiculous.
I
Like
know.
you play
Deji
him in
kept
a big
calling him
game.
kinky today.
It's just like, honestly, you play him in, you're probably your biggest game, one of your biggest games of the season, away against Atletico Madrid, one of the best teams in the world. You're throwing a guy who's barely played any
But
minutes.
why was Vicario not available to play?
It's just he was available. He just decided not to play him. It's just like if you're going to do a bit of rotation, do it in a league game where it's like a 3 p.m. kickoff, where there's no one's really watching the game, so you can ease him in. But you put him in, a load of people, millions of people watching that game, and then you take him off after he made a couple of mistakes. At least leave him on the pitch, so at least he can make a couple of saves, get his confidence back in it. It was ridiculous, honestly. Tottenham are an absolute. I've lost for words, honestly.
I
Obviously,
actually was saying this tonight. Like Terry's saying, oh, I'm surprised why Tudor is still in a job. He was saying it after their previous game as well, after the Palace game. And I'm like, I just don't think that it changes anything.
who they're going to
Like,
get in? Who's going to come in now?
but
No,
like,
right.
No, I mean Johnny Heitinga, I think is probably the answer. Like in terms of because he's already there and he's really highly rated. Um, but I just don't think anything is fixing them. I just think they're dead. You said it in my tiers. I said, but Forest and West Ham, at least they have a pulse. I don't actually literally think, for all intents and purposes, Spurs are dead. They're like a zombie at this point.
It kind of reminds me, obviously, it's a slightly different circumstance, but because obviously Leicester have massive financial problems, but that Leicester team was too good to go down. But it was getting to the point where they were in the relegation zone and the players just heads just went. Like they still have players like Madison, like Tielemans in that squad, Soyuncu, who's now at Atletico Madrid. They had good players in that squad, but once their heads went down, they were just like sod this because they all knew they were going to go at the end of the season. It's looking like most of the Spurs players, they're not going to have relegation clauses in their contracts. So they're going to go down. They're going to have to be sold. So a lot of these players, Palinha's only on loan, so he'll just go back to Bayern Munich. Xavi Simons, for me, I thought that was an excellent bit of business that Tottenham
I
did.
know.
And he's been rubbish. Like he's been
I don't think
really
he'll be back in the Prem next year. I think he's going to
no,
go.
he'll go. He'll leave. Obviously, I don't know where he'll go because obviously Bayern Munich have been interested in him in past seasons, but Bayern Munich will look at him this year and go, "We got Musiala in there. Why would we? Why? Why would they need him?" It's
Yeah,
just like
but
baffling, honestly.
the kid who scored against us as well was
Yeah, Carl. So it's just like
Carl. Yeah,
what. So most of these players, obviously Van der Ven's been linked with everybody. He'll go. Romero looks like he wants to go off to Spain. He'll probably end up at maybe Atletico Madrid. But like it's even like in their squad where they've got Pedro Porro starts at right back for them. Spain's starting right back who's won European trophies for them. They've got Romero who's a World Cup winner in there. Van der Ven's wanted by half of Europe. They've got Palinha in there who's come from Bayern Munich and has been a solid Premier League player. Xavi Simons in there who's been one of the hottest prospects in world football for the last few years.
kudos. Everyone was talking about. I mean,
Yeah,
like
Solanke is a guaranteed Premier League scorer. It's just like it's just,
Richarlison is Brazil's. I mean, I don't know anymore, but he was Brazil's starting striker
yeah,
at the last World Cup.
Like you look at their squad, and there's even with the injuries, there is no way on earth they should be where they are. It's just the players just don't care. You watch their games. Where you watch Arsenal, City, Liverpool, and anyone else, the players run back and they put effort. When they lose the ball, they'll try and go get. Whereas Tottenham, they lose the ball. The only one that's trying, Archie Gray, puts in effort every game. The rest of them, they just lose the ball. And it's just like, oh, well, they've lost the ball. And it's just like, it is absolutely balmy. These players, I know everyone, the hierarchy is a disgrace at Tottenham, but the players are also, it's pathetic what they're doing. They should not be in that position. But yeah, I read somewhere that Gallagher might have a relegation clause in his contract. I think his contract goes in half if they get relegated.
Yeah. Although to
But
be
they're
honest, I
paying
think
him.
he's suited to the championship. I think he'd be one of those players that actually would be quite handy for them to
I
have for the
think the
championship.
players
But
that would probably stay in the championship, Archie Gray would probably stick around just because
Spence would stay, I think.
he was playing in the championship before Spurs bought him.
Would Destiny
Um,
Doggy leave? You think?
Yeah, well, the thing is, it would be the high earners that have to leave because they're just not going to be able to afford them, are they?
Richarlison would be gone.
Richarlison, Solanke,
Solanke would be gone.
Kudus,
Yeah, Kudus would be
um,
gone. Kulusevski would be
Madison.
gone.
The thing is,
Madison might
Madison's been injured
stay, but
because
he
he's been injured.
left. He didn't stay for Leicester. He went. Then he
No,
joined them.
it is.
Um,
It's just shocking, really.
yeah, I
But
don't know. Maybe Basuma might stay just because he's no. I don't know if anybody wants him anyway.
I think Basuma might leave, but Sarr might stay because these younger players are on smaller contracts, like Archie Gray, Sarr, Kinski. These players are on smaller contracts, so they can probably keep them financially. But the big hitters who are on
But
like
if
200
that's their
k a week,
squad, I
they're
don't know
not
if
going to be
they're
able
making up. They're going up next year either.
to. If their squad's going to get decimated, and you've seen a lot of good big teams go down and they've struggled to come back up again. So it is dire times for Tottenham. It's really funny. I'm very much enjoying it. But last night was a bit the only time I've ever
Oh,
felt sorry for a
I
Spurs
have no
player ever.
sympathy. By the way, I'm
I don't have
seeing.
sympathy for the fans at all because
No,
they
no,
were
no.
celebrating mediocrity. They were celebrating losses. And it's just like that transfers onto the players. Like if your own fans are sat in there doing the Poznan while you're losing a game that's losing you out in Champions League football, what are the players meant to think? Like you're celebrating them conceding. It's absolutely outrageous. Like there was Tottenham fans after they equalised against City that were angry. Like it's just absolutely balmy. Honestly, I've never seen anything like this in my life. It's
Well,
crazy.
that's all they'll have next year. I said we asked Deji today in the terrace, like, what are you going to do next year if you guys are going to be in the championship? Are you going to cover those games? And he was like, "No, I'm just going to be real. It's not good content to be talking about the championship. So no, and I was like, you know what? Maybe instead you can just gonna do Arsenal hate-alongs the whole year. And then he goes, you know what? We can't even chat to you guys if we get relegated.
Oh, it's just honestly, I saw a DR Sports clip the other day of
Or
it was just
Abby.
after, before the season started, and I can't remember what the Spurs fan's name is, but he was having a go at all the United fans. Go, yeah,
Oh,
we're
was it
above you
Fuad?
now.
Fuad.
Yeah,
Fuad.
it was just like we're above you now. You're in the mud. We beat you in this European trophy. We're gonna step up now, and it's just like the dramatic fall off,
And they were
especially now.
saying they had a better season than us last year. They
Yeah.
finished 17th in the Premier League.
Well, I remember that guy that used to go on Football Terrace before we were on there. That the American Tottenham fan who had always gone about statistically. I
Jacob.
can't remember what his
No,
name is,
no,
but
no, the other guy. Yeah.
yeah,
It
he'd always
wasn't
gone about
Jacob.
how statistically Tottenham was so much better, and he said within the next 5 years Tottenham would be in front, and it's just like it's gone the complete opposite way. It's just like it. Honestly, it's Son and Kane painted over so many cracks for so many years. They've gone, and now they haven't been able to replace them. Obviously, replacing Harry Kane is an impossible task because for me, he's the best striker in Europe. So replacing him was impossible anyway, and they've replaced him with a decent player. Solanke's no mug, and it's just like, yeah, I still don't think they will go down. But that Palace game was the first time I ever went in my head and went, you know what, this might be a possibility because I've always been like they're going to pick up enough wins, but at the
Do you know
moment, looking
what?
at their run, I'm struggling.
Before that, even that game, when I saw the West Ham in the Forest, and I was talking to a few people, and they're like, I really want to see how they're going to react now that those teams actually have won and will cut the lead to one. And I'm like, you know what? They're just going to lose before the Palace game. I'm like, they're just going to lose, and that's exactly what happened. I actually somehow, some way, if they wake up, it's not too late. But it's gonna happen. I mean, it's not. I don't know if it's gonna happen. If it happened at Anfield, that would be actually be kind of funny, just from a Liverpool fan's point of view, to see how they react to that.
If
But
Liverpool turn up properly, they could. I think they could set a record in that game. They've slapped Liverpool are one team that can just randomly slap a team as well. They've beaten Man United by their biggest rival by 7-8 goals. They could
imagine
seriously,
if
if
that's the
Liverpool
game that
turn up.
Salah all of a sudden turns it
Honestly,
on.
like Ekatike against that defense is going to have a field day. It is going to be balmy. Like if Liverpool turn up that game, that'll be a riot. But obviously, it depends what Liverpool turn up because Liverpool, even
Well,
in
they're
some
gonna
games
need to
where you
start to
think they're
try to
going to turn up,
tune
they
up
haven't.
to try to beat Galatasaray. I think maybe it serves them better to try to find some offense against Spurs before that second leg than actually rest players. I think.
Yeah, get some momentum in there. Well,
Yeah.
Liverpool don't. They have so many injuries at the moment. There isn't much rotation they can actually do. Despite that's the weird thing is like I didn't think Liverpool would win the league this year. I was very realistic with Liverpool, where they've had, even though they've spent so much money, the thing is with Liverpool, because they've had such heavy rotation, they've gotten rid of so many players. It was a transitional year for them, and they just don't have, despite them spending so much money, they just don't have the depth there at all, really. Like the centre back they bought in for cover got injured straight away. Isak came in, has been injured pretty much straight away. The only cover they have in defence is Gomez. Frimpong's been injured a lot. Kirkez has not hit the ground running whatsoever. Midfield, Jones is the only real depth they have in there as well. Gakpo's just been off it. It's just like Liverpool, it's been the perfect storm for Liverpool in a negative manner where their bigger players are aging out and they're dropping off in Salah and Van Dijk, but the expensive players they bought in haven't really stepped up to the plate. But if Liverpool have the capacity to turn up in the Spurs game and absolutely obliterate them,
Like
it
the
just
reason why I wouldn't count them out in the Champions League is exactly that. Though they have the capacity, and you saw the way we handled our season last year when we kind of felt at this point of the year we weren't doing anything in the league. We put all our eggs in the Champions League basket, and we got all the way
yeah,
to the semi-final. So
that's what I said. I said that on a Top Six show a while ago. I said Liverpool because that's what we did. We ended up finishing fell away in the league because we were resting players in the league. Liverpool can do that. They can just keep a fresh team because in a one-off game, that Liverpool starting 11 is good enough to beat anybody in a one-off game. Well, obviously over two legs, but they can beat them. They've got Wirtz is a fantastic player. He's been a lot better in Europe. He's been growing into the season. Really, it was quite unfortunate the timing he got injured because he was doing really well before that. Ekatike is fantastic. If I don't know, I don't think Isaac's going to be back for the rest of the season. but Szoboszlai's been one of the best midfielders in the league this year. Van Dijk's still there; he's still plodding along. But it's just Salah's the big thing for Liverpool this year is the runs Diaz would make and the ground eating he would do. They've lost out on massively there, especially Gakpo been playing out there and he's been rubbish. They've lost the progressive passing from Trent. There's a reason why Salah is not at the same level as he was at his age, but he doesn't have Trent behind him anymore. Trent moving has been such a big impact. Their forward progression has been so much worse this year because obviously they brought in Verts to try and ease that. But when you've got one of the best passers in the world, like whatever you say about Trent defensively, Trent's passing range, he's probably the best passer on the planet. He's so good. It's so many games last year where they were under the cosh Liverpool. You could get Trent in there and he could be an outball up to Salah. And there's a reason why Salah's got worse. It's because he hasn't got Trent behind him. So Liverpool fans obviously ended up getting sour with him near the end of the season. But I think some Liverpool fans are coming to realisation, actually, we're a lot worse without him. And Frimpong is just not... It's just a weird profile they bought because Frimpong isn't a right back and he's not a right winger. He's a right wing back. And they bought him and they don't play him in that position at all. He obviously came on at right wing yesterday and did absolutely nothing. But yeah, Liverpool's just in a weird place, but they can turn up. I wouldn't write them off from anything, but yeah, it's not been. They kind of, I think Liverpool kind of need that trophy through, just because the amount of money they've spent. It would be a bit of a dire situation for them if they spend all that money and then don't finish in the top six, don't finish in the top five, which is a possibility. Imagine Liverpool not having Champions League football next year. Oof, that could be dire. That could honestly be dire, and it's a possibility. But I do think, I think Aston Villa would drop off though.
I do think so, but I actually think that people are discounting Brentford because I think Brentford's got a great schedule, like that really massively favors them. And if they can maintain somewhat the form they've had so far, I would actually give them a bit of a shout to make it in there potentially. I mean, it's a long shot, but
if Brentford make European football, then Keith Andrews is up for manager of the year. He was just a coach. He's come in and he's made Brentford better. And after selling all their best players, it's just the work he's done is so underrated. They lost their captain. They lost their striker. They lost their cup game. They lost their top goal scorer. Yet they've improved on all levels. Statistically, they've improved defensively. They've improved forward line. Thiago's hit the ground running because they did sign Thiago last year, but he was out injured for the whole season. But he's just been absolutely fantastic because the way they bought Thiago, I read an article about the way they got him. They bought him on the position of he gets a lot of shots and he's in the right positions, even though his goal totals weren't as impressive as other players. But because he gets in those positions regularly and he gets shots off regularly, that's why they bought him. And that's why strikers like that are crucial. Like, I think also for Liverpool, they've got rid of Darwin Núñez. Yes, Darwin Núñez could be rash at times, but he would always be in the right positions. He'd have that work rate and he always got shots off. He had the most shots per player in the league last year. So when you have a player like that, granted, sometimes they can spur the moment, but they're crucial in some sides. So I think Diaz, I would love to see Darwin back in the Premier League or somewhere because I think I do rate him. I think he's a good player. I think
didn't he? That was
I think he's underrated. He just needs the right team to get the best out of him. But Liverpool dark horse has been Champions League. Can't be writing them off, especially if they've won it 6 times. They know how to do it.
All right, let's talk the FA Cup. And then I will actually get into some of these comments as well, but I want to talk the FA Cup because it's been on the back burner for a while. So obviously we got through that Mansfield game. The way I was thinking about it, leading into the draw, which is like, just don't give me Liverpool at Anfield or a City. Just don't. Even if you have to play Chelsea for a 5th time this season, our record against them is so good that I'm not sweating it that much. But just don't give me one of those two. And I was actually saying it. I was saying it like to myself. I'm like, City please draw Liverpool at Anfield? Now, they got him at Manchester, whatever, but this is the next best thing. So I think for me, that's great. We got one of the only 2 teams that are non-Premier League sides that made it into the quarterfinals. So Southampton away, which, as I said, I think earlier, we actually have a pretty poor record against Southampton, but this is a version of them. I mean, away from home. But this is a version of them that's in the championship. So I think potentially it's a different type of game. But it's probably, again, prefer to have them at the Emirates. But Southampton away, I think it gives an opportunity again to keep everything ticking along, to rotate. And then the other games, Chelsea, you've got Port Vale, absolute. I think that's going to be them in the semifinals for sure.
Yeah.
Then the other one though, Leeds against West Ham, because Liverpool drew City, it opens up a possibility of Leeds or West Ham at Wembley if we were to get past Southampton. But for me, this is the quad equation, and let me know what you would think in this scenario, right? If we were to get past Southampton with a rotated side where we don't really lose anybody to injury, so we keep everything else going along, and then that draw, and then come out of the hat for Arsenal is West Ham or Leeds. How are you feeling?
Yeah,
Semi-final.
that draw could not have gone better. We've got the two teams we wouldn't want to get, and they're playing each other. So we're guaranteed to have one of the other big hitters go out. Obviously, Chelsea are going to go through. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We've got Saints, which is it's weird. I'm really happy with playing them because if I wasn't an Arsenal fan, I would be a Southampton fan just because of the connection I have with the city. So I do have a massive soft spot for Saints. I watch their games. They are in a really good vein of form, especially they're under a new manager. They were struggling under Will Still at the start of the season. But they're apart from Wrexham, they're in the best form of any championship side since January. So they're no mugs at the moment. They obviously knocked out Fulham away, which is a really good win for them. Well, our record there is really poor. I remember Theo Walcott scoring against us in that title run-in. So Saints are in a really good position right now. They're playing really good football. It's going to be really dependent on. I don't think we can rotate and rest as much as people think. We're going to still have to put a reasonably strong side out away. If we were at home, I think it would be a different matter. But away from home, it's going to be a tough game.
I don't think it's a full rotation. And as you
No,
mentioned, pair that with the fact that if we make it through, it would be the Sporting or Bodo Glimt.
I genuinely think if we win our first leg of the Champions League and be comfortable in that, it'll be helpful because it's not going to be an easy game at all. Saints will give us a hard game. I think we will still beat them. But we do need to play some of our big hitters in that game, which could be consequential for the Champions League. But because we do have Sporting Lisbon or Bodo, it's good. We're in a really good position. And if we do get through that, it will obviously be probably, I'm looking at that, I think Liverpool knock City out. I think it will be Liverpool, Chelsea and Leeds go through. So getting Leeds, if we get Leeds in the semi-final and then obviously Chelsea, Liverpool in that semi-final, that could be ideal. Because if we get Chelsea again, I'm more than happy at playing Chelsea again, especially at Wembley. Our record against Chelsea at Wembley is fantastic. So we get Chelsea at Wembley, I think we've won that. But it's going to be crucial. I think the Saints game is a bit of a banana skin here. I think if we're not going to win one trophy, it'll be the FA Cup. And if I see any banana skins or slip-ups coming, it will be away. Because when you look at the paper, going away to a championship side, yeah, that should be easy. But Saints are no mugs. It's happened before. We've been knocked out by teams like this in the position. We've gone away to Nottingham Forest in the Cup before, been knocked out. So it's not a game to take for granted. But yeah, we got to play a reasonably strong squad. I want to see a reasonably strong squad in this game. Maybe see Kai Havertz starting up front, possibly. But yeah, it's not going to be an easy game. And I'm more nervous for that game than I am at playing that second leg against Bayer Leverkusen. I'll be honest. That or Sporting Lisbon. I'm more nervous about playing Saints than I am playing Sporting Lisbon potentially. But yeah, it's going to be a tough game. But yeah, it'll be an interesting watch. I should be going to the game, so that will be a good one. But yeah, if we get through that game, then that would be incredible because the potential for another just a Leeds. Even if we get Chelsea, I'm pretty confident we beat Chelsea. So the one team I do think City are going to get knocked out, and I hope they get knocked out. But I think we'll play Liverpool in the final. That's my prediction.
Yeah, like for me, I always felt like this was the way that the season panned out. This would be fourth on our priority list, and it was always like if we got a tough draw in this, it'd be like okay, whatever. We can't have all of them, but the fact that we have yet to play a Premier League team, we're at the quarterfinal stages now. We could potentially get to Wembley without having to play one team from the Premier League. Well, we would if we were to make it that far. I mean, it works so far in our favor. Yet, if that last draw is Leeds at home, even if it's Chelsea, by the way, not Leeds at home. No, we can't play home. a Leeds at Wembley, even if it's Chelsea at Wembley, where our record has been so good against them, I'm not that opposed to it. I mean, the final for me is whatever it is what it is. Like whoever you get in the final, everyone deserves to be there. You have to kind of bring your best. It's that semifinal draw for me, and that is why all of a sudden I'm starting to think this way. Like it was okay if we got a tough draw in the Champions League. Let's say we end up having to play the winner of Real Madrid City. That was something that I feared didn't happen, right? All right, what if we had to draw Liverpool or City in the quarterfinals? Didn't happen. And it's just like we are one if win against Saints in a really good draw mixed with a win in the cup final away from it. I mean, the Carabao Cup final away from it being a really good possibility. Like I'm trying my best not to jinx it, but the more this season plays out, it's actually like unlike other seasons. Like other seasons we played Champions League, you end up playing a new European giant and you go, oh crap, and you feel really overwhelmed by those games and we go out. Even if some of the in recent years when we played a Bayern, I thought we can go and beat Bayern that year. We didn't. We went out. That's a potential stumbling block. We could have a Barcelona like that in the semifinals, but even them, I like. I think we're suited to playing them. And I think for me, it is becoming a possibility. And I gotta say it, Seb. I gotta say it. I know. I don't think that we're gonna win all four, but this FA Cup, man. Like I can see a scenario where we lose the FA Cup final. Honestly, let's say play Liverpool, who had been really good for us, good against us all year, and we play them and they beat us. But
Yeah, I think
man, it's
if someone asked me, well, if we go on, I think Liverpool. I just think when we're getting so deep in other competitions where it's the leagues on the line, the Champions Leagues on the line, our priority is going to be there regardless of
but
who we
see,
get.
let's say we get to the FA Cup final. I'm saying, what date would that FA Cup final be?
It would be May some point. I
FA
don't know
Cup
when it will be yet, but another thing about the
final.
Saints game is Saints are wearing an anniversary shirt for their FA Cup win. So it's just like it's just another level where they're beating Fulham in that FA Cup shirt they've got going at the moment. And Saints' most famous day in the FA Cup was beating Arsenal. So Saints have done
Mm,
it to us it's a very long time ago. Like we were not
yeah.
alive, but they have done it to us before.
I know. Well, look, it's always look. Mansfield almost did it to us. I was literally like sweating Mansfield. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. But I don't want to. All right. So we would be playing on this. It would be the final of the FA Cup will be held on Saturday, May the 16th. So that means that that's crazy. That means that our game against Burnley, that I thought that might be winning the league in, would be probably postponed to earlier, probably to the Wednesday. So let's say we would have won the Premier League by then, which is a real possibility, and then you would have a break of 10 days until we play Crystal Palace, or 9 days.
Mm. That's a lot
Why
of.
not?
Just it's just you have to be bold sometimes to say, but I just honestly, I don't think we win the FA Cup. I think that will be put on the back burner. Quite honestly, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
and again, I wouldn't be entirely surprised. I'd like if we go out to Saints, I wouldn't be overly surprised. So I'm not going to have a mad meltdown about it, especially if we have. I can see us rotating heavily for that game, even though I don't want us to, but I can see it. I can just see it now with a back line of Lewis Skelly left back, Mosquera. We've been playing Norgard at centre back in the cups a lot. I think we may take Saints for granted, and they could do us, especially if Saints score and they can be defensively resolute, they can knock us out. And that will be massive for Saints. Like a championship side getting to Wembley in an FA Cup would be huge. So it's a big opportunity for them as
Yeah.
well. But it's just such a banana skin. Like I was happy with the draw
It
just
is.
because we're playing Saints, and I love Saints. I love Southampton. But yeah, it is a huge one, and I'm just not. I'm so nervous for it as well. But yeah, it is. I'm going to see Saints v Norwich as well next week as well. So I'll be at that game. But yeah, I've watched Saints a lot more than a lot of other Arsenal fans, and it's not one that it's like when the draw was made, it was like, yeah, we're going through again another chance. It's not the same.
No.
It's not the same. I know we went away to Portsmouth and slapped them, but Portsmouth have been poor this year. It's not a game we can take for granted. Saints are going to be very up for that game. Our record at St Mary's is atrocious, like it's really bad. So it's going to a ground we're not good at all. So yeah, it is a nervous game, but I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, touch wood. I hope we go through, but I honestly wouldn't be that surprised if we went out because I think we're going to rotate a lot. I just see it happening, but it will be big if we rotate a lot in that game. We still get through. That will give me a lot of hope for this.
All right, so I'm gonna put your neck, stick me out, let your neck out on the line. FA Cup, yes or no? Because you realize if you say yes, you predicted a quad, right?
No, I don't. I think Liverpool win in the FA Cup. If I could predict, if I'm a betted man, so if I was to put a bet on now, I think, especially we'll get great odds on Liverpool at the moment because they've got City. I think Liverpool get over the line and they win. I think Liverpool win the FA Cup.
All right. I say we win the FA Cup. So
honestly,
I'm going for it all. I can't look at the scenario. I'm just trying to be positive the whole way. But again, it could be screwed up as early as tonight. Let's say we have a really shocking performance tonight, and all of a sudden we have a really pit in our stomach about the Champions League, or as you say, something about like Southampton, or we lose the cup final next week. There's so many things to be played, and as Nick says, one game at a time. Worry about tonight, and then we look. That I agree, and you have to go at it one game at a time. It's actually funny though. Speaking about the Everton game, I have a really good feeling that that's going to be a good day for Arsenal, especially because I'm going to actually have the Premier League trophy sitting about 2 feet away from me that night because I'll be watching it. So Theo Walcott's coming down to Melbourne, so he's going to be at this pub, this event. So, and I got us the exclusive room just with Theo and a few people. So it'll be really fun. And the Premier League trophy will be like literally this year's Premier League trophy. They're parading around everywhere before I bring it back to England. Is going to be sitting in the room with me. And then City play West Ham after that game is over. And I'll be watching that game too. And I'll be like next to Theo. And I'll be like, come on, everything needs to line up here. Can you imagine I would feel like I'll literally just go. I don't give a fuck about what security. I'm just going to lift up that trophy and be like,
I think the big thing
9
as well,
points clear, 10 points clear.
us playing before City is also massive as well because if we win, that puts the pressure on City, not the other way around.
Yeah,
but
we
playing
would go 10
first,
clear. We would go 10 clear.
Yeah, it's so good because imagine if we win, they lose, and we're 10 points. I think that's over from that point. I genuinely think it. I don't think any team is getting a 10-point, despite them having a game in hand. I think it's just because people just go, oh, they got a game in hand, they're going to win that. But it's more important to have the points on the board. You don't know what City could slip up in that game in hand. You don't know. But I love Theo Walcott, so that's sick. That sounds really good.
No, I've got been thinking about this things I'm going to ask him in my head. I want to get him to clip him up doing something for this channel, and if he does it, you'll see it before every video. Be like, this is Theo Walcott, and you're watching Fire Them Cannons, and then just start it off.
That would be quite good actually, to be fair. But yeah, I think Everton game, the last fixture against Everton, we got a bit fortunate in because it was during the African Cup of Nations. So Everton had a lot of players missing that game. They had injuries. I think we ended up winning 1-0. I remember Gyökeres scoring a penalty.
Yeah, Gyökeres scored the penalty.
It will be a tougher game this round because they do have a near on fit squad. Obviously, Jack Grealish is out injured, but Njai is going to be back.
Well, didn't Jack Grealish score against Burnley the other day, or no?
I think he's still out, isn't he? I thought he was still out injured. He might be back. I don't know, but they're going to have Njai back. Barry is playing quite well at the moment. He's in good form. Dewsbury Hall he's been really good for them. He's actually a really good asset for them. So, but our home record, Everton used to be a team that would regularly batter at home. It's only been the last few years where it's been a bit of a banana skin for us.
We still got over the line. Even that last day in the Premier League a couple of years ago when we fell short.
we went down.
That was a weird game, yeah.
Well, that game was kind of
scored the winner that day, didn't you?
Yeah, well, it was kind of that game where if we win, we might have won a title with City drop points. But obviously, the players didn't know that City. The players didn't know City were winning at that point, so it wasn't like they're getting. It was just a weird game. overall, especially. But yeah, this game's going to be, I think we beat Everton at home. Our home record's really good. That's what I always trust us to win at home. I would never predict us to drop points at home, just because even that game against United where we dropped points, the nature of that game where, like, going back to where the league is, our underlying stats for most of the season have been really similar. Like, or even our XG conceded is slightly better than it was at that period where we were winning every game in a row. It's just because the game against Wolves had less than 0.3 XG in that game and they scored 2 goals from it. City's, both United's got obviously the Doku goal, Cunha goal. 9 times out of 10, that's not happening again. We had performances in those games where we should have won the games. It's just been those differentials have cost us in those games, even though underlying stats wise, we're playing just as well as we have been all year. It's just earlier in the season, we weren't conceding those low XG goals because we're still shutting teams out. Teams are not getting clear-cut opportunities against us at all. It's just the low XG chances, we've just conceded a bit more of those. So I'm not really particularly worried where everyone's like, oh, we're crumbling a little bit. The only game I'd say we particularly crumbled in was the Wolves game. That was the only one for me. And maybe the Brentford, we were poor in that game. But even in the Wolves game, we should have won that game. We were a better team by a mile. So as long as we can keep our form up, all we've got to do is match City. That's all we've got to do. We don't even have to be better.
The last games for me erased the Wolves game because they dropped from an advantage position at home against a relegation struggler themselves. So for me, I feel like, and points wise, it equaled it out. If we had a good weekend and we beat Everton and they dropped points to West Ham, it would cancel out the Brentford one. We were right back where we were before that, which was, by the way, 9 points clear. After before they went to Anfield, which would be the exact same thing now. So,
Yep.
But we would be back there, and that would be good for me. In fact, or for you, for anybody of us, because we'd be further along in the season, and then back to that point. It's actually even better. So,
well, if you look at it all season, it's always been like going from a 7-point gap to a 2-point gap, 5-point gap, 2-point gap, like all season, like even just before Christmas.
That's the key.
The gap was like 1 point. No, they've never.
That's for me. This maybe is a great way to close the show, and then we'll do the comments because it's almost midnight and I gotta wait for the game. But this is what I was saying to Terry, and I think he actually agreed with me a lot. Like he was actually didn't disagree with me at all. Throughout the course of the season, this is where the narratives are wrong for me. When City make it close, oh no, Arsenal pressures on City. In through all of December, we dropped that loss of that Villa game. It was 2 points. And yeah, we scraped over the line here against Wolves and there, and our attack didn't look great. But you kept saying as well during that period, hey, the XG is looking, the underlying XG, the underlying numbers are good. We're going to have a big win there somewhere. And we did eventually when we played Villa. But on that day, or 2 days later, they dropped points. It was so exhausting. People thought it was exhausting for Arsenal, and we felt it from our side. Oh, do we just keep winning every single time because City are winning too? But from City's point of view, they're like, damn, Arsenal keep fucking winning. We can't just get them to drop that one game. And we've been on that other side 2 years ago, right? Can't they just drop the one damn game that gives us the ascendancy or the control in this title race? It never happened. And eventually, because it's so much energy gets taken out of them, they drop points to Southampton. I mean, Southampton, they look like it. Sunderland. Then they drop points to Brighton. Then they drop points to Chelsea. All of a sudden, they're dropping points in this quick succession because they're tired. Then after that, we kind of let them back in, and it's back at 2. But what did we do when they brought it back to 2? Beat Spurs, beat Chelsea, beat Brighton. They never got that result they wanted to. Then they drop points to Forest. Are they going to be able to get themselves back up again to be able to close that gap and then go ahead? And eventually, at a certain point, they're just going to be like, oh, fuck. Like, it takes a lot of energy out of them. It's just not our year. Let's just give it to them.
It could be a certain situation. It could be similar to where we were last year, where we went, hold on, we're going deep in this Champions League. We'll start, because they could get into position. I was saying this to, I think it was Kel after one of the match reactions where City just dropped points. And I was like, it could get to a situation where City see the Premier League's out of reach and they go, we're going to put all our eggs in the Champions League basket. We did it last year and ended up making the league comfortable for Liverpool. So it could get to a position where if they do drop points this weekend, we go 10 points and they go, you know what? we're going to go for the Champions League. Then we're going to go for these other leagues. So it could get in a position where City just start resting players in the league anyway, which is what I'm hoping for, because then we can deliberately lose against West Ham. That's what I want. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's get through these comments quickly, and then we will call it a night. I think Seb, he's given me more than almost 2.5 hours of his time today. So big you up every single time, bro. Okay, where we go back? Okay. Nate goes, do we call it quaint if we win 4 trophies and Spurs get relegated? I mean, even if we just win the league and Spurs get relegated, it will hit so nicely.
That would be a new song for the rest of time.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. They won't be able to chat to us ever again. Nate the Gunner, absolutely we do. That's from Jake. The media will hate if we start saying quaint. Quint? Or quint?
Yeah, quintuple. Yeah.
Oh, as in a quadruple. Oh, quint, is that 5?
Yeah, quint is 5, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, quad. Well, if we win the Champions League, and then next year we go ahead, we win the Super Cup, and then we win the Community Shield, then that's 6.
Oh, dreamland.
And imagine if the boys go to England and win the World Cup.
That would be lovely. I haven't felt any success as an England fan. I need it.
But that would be in just in 2026 for Arsenal. Or for Arsenal, if that in that scenario, just in 2026 alone, we would have 6 trophies. And then let's say for Saka and Rice and all our England players, Madueke, 7 in one calendar year.
Well, the thing is, like, people are moaning about our corners and set pieces. England are going to have those corners and set pieces because Rice and Saka is going to be there.
So it's got Reece James too if he stays fit.
They're going to be celebrating those set pieces regardless when it comes to the summer. So you've got to thank Arsenal.
So we don't have any centre backs who can deliver from a set piece. Oh, maybe Gahey.
Gahey, yeah. Konsa.
Van de Ven is doubting tools. Go look at the red versus. Yeah, he is in a poor side. That's what I would say. I'd say like it really got to do with the environment around you. Like I've always had this analogy about like one baby can grow up in 2 different realities. You can either grow up in a really rich household, have what do they call? What do they give those to the kids? Like the money that they earn later on, they grow up 18, whatever. Like a huge amount of money waiting for them. They were rich. Or that same baby could get born into on the street, poor and doing drugs. Like it's just so the reality. For Van de Ven right now, he's just in a team where nobody gives a shit. So he doesn't give a shit. If he probably wouldn't be doing that, let's say he played for a better club. That's what I feel about that. Leverkusen about to expose Bomboclat FC. Okay. Hopefully not, but we'll see. So my girlfriend's in there. She's predicting the quad.
Hopefully.
She's just been listening to me all the time, and then that's why. That Forest game for Spurs is literally 100%. Yeah. Well, I know who Dark Tales in the Night is. I won't give it away, but I know who it is. 100%. If Bees make Europe, he's for sure the manager of the season, unless of course we win a quad. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think if Arteta wins, that's the Premier League.
It kind of always defaults to the league winner, but I think I think if he does win it, gets in Europe, then he is a shout for it. I think he should at least be in that conversation alongside Arteta because he's done an absolutely fantastic job when no one expected him to do.
We gotta go at least have strong for Saints. I think it's really case by case basis. I think we'll be coming out of an international break if you kind of read the room each time before each of these games. But I wouldn't go super weak. I wouldn't go 3-4-3. That would be suicide, honestly. It would be kind of beautiful if we played City in 3 finals and won them all. I know, but I don't want to tempt fate like that. One game at a time, lads. Worry about tonight. Yeah, we did this one. The EPL far from over. 1 game drop points. And it's all in the air again. Our lead isn't what it seems. Agreed, but I just think that's true. But I just think the fact that the 3 games that we just won in a row, I think were crucial. I say this is the maths for me. I think we have 5 games. I know that we have 5 games out of the last 8 at home. I think we win all 5 of those games. I think we win the league because I think City's dropping points elsewhere this season. if we win all 5 of those games, plus we go to the Etihad and turn them over and win, we will mathematically be champions of England. So for me, that's kind of what it is. I actually think the least important games for me right now in the league, as of right now, would be Crystal Palace away and West Ham away, because those are the ones we don't need to have. From where I'm sitting. And by the way, the math would still work out if we win 5 and then we win one of those 2 games, not the Etihad, we would also win the league. So
I do very much. I don't want to be in a position where we are 1 point in front and having to go and play West Ham. That could be very tricky if we're in that position. But hopefully, I don't see us being in that position. But if that ended up being like that, then I would start getting very nervous.
Yeah. I love Theo. Got to get him on camera for that. I'm going to try my best, but I'm not going to be a fanboy though. Like if it just the stars don't align, I'm not going to be fucking shoving cameras in his face, because it also won't be a good video. You know what I mean? Charlie, big up Charlie. He says Father Cam just popped in to say hi. No, hi Charlie. How's it going, man? Man City nil Leverkusen 2 earlier rounds in Champions League. Just one game shows they are a serious team and cannot be taken lightly. I agree, but actually LB was saying that they actually heavily rotated for that game when they played Leverkusen, which was an interesting fact. Guarantee Spurs fans will be out celebrating if we don't win a trophy. If they get, yep, definitely. Tell me, you guys, Max Dalman has a role to play either in a run at Champions League or both or cups. I think that was sort of his game. I reckon Max Dalman's got a massive role to play. I wonder what Seb was going to say about this, but I think he's got a massive role to play in future seasons. I think this season he's a little bit young to kind of really be needed to depend on him. I think that was kind of his game.
He might get some more minutes in like the FA Cup purely on the basis with the draw we've got, but I just don't see him particularly because he has had a big injury this season already, which is not great for someone of his age because he was already out for a while. So just easing back in, I think even just having him in the squad in some of these big games, just on the bench, it will be really good for his progression. Just being in around the team is big. That's what Man City did with Foden. They kept him around. So if we do a similar job, then I think it'll be all right. I don't think he'll get a load of minutes this year, but he will be big for the future, especially when obviously the players like Eze and Saka and whatever get, because he is 16, so it will be when he's starting games, it will be when Saka's getting near to his 30s and Eze's older, so it will be back then. It's just he's definitely one for the future, but
I think he'll be more central. I actually played central eventually in that FA Cup game. I thought that's what really opened my eyes, was that he was so good playing down the middle. Like, yeah, okay. It's weird looking at the schedule 3 games ago. I felt we had the harder run. Now it seems like we have the easier. Well, we did, and now we do.
We got through the harder games already. Yeah. That's the thing is, it was the Chelsea, Tottenham, and Brighton games you're looking at going, oh, they're tricky, but they're the ones we've ended up winning. So yeah, it looks a lot healthier at the moment.
Yeah. Anton challenged Theo to a race. Imagine telling your kids one day you beat Theo Walcott in a race. Is Theo how old is he? Even late 30s or 40s?
No, he's still in his 30s.
Yeah, I don't. Look, I'm pretty quick myself. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't think I'm Theo Walcott quick, even at his age. I saw him playing. He was in the league last year. He's still got a good pace on him.
Yeah, he's only just retired, so he's still got some legs on him.
Imagine he'd be wearing a suit, so maybe I might get a leg up on him. So we'll see. Think we need to keep Max on the bench. A break glass for emergency situation. Can't rely on a 16-year-old. I agree. But again, we got so many. That bench, it's so hard. Like, where are you going to put him in the bench if we're fully fit? Like, what you could in the Premier League, you can only name 9 players to the bench?
Yeah, 9 or 7.
9 or 7, yeah.
It'll be easier getting them on the bench for Champions League games just because the bench is a lot bigger. But
I would like to have on the bench right now, Jesus or Dalman?
I'm not a big fan of Jesus, to be fair. I think he's been pretty bad since he came back. Especially now,
so he was so bad the other day as well.
I'd rather be bringing on Havertz than Jesus at the moment, to be honest. Like, we bring on Jesus in games, he's not doing anything.
Like control.
When we're late in games, I'd rather have a tied Gyökeres on, because Gyökeres thrives in transition and there's the space. It's like we'd take Gyökeres off while we're getting space, and it was just like Jesus is not operating in that space. So I just think it's time to move on. I think Jesus would be gone at the end of the season anyway, so I don't want him taking up too many minutes because he's not going to be a big part of the squad going forward anyway. But I have been really disappointed with him since he came back. He's not been good
Yeah,
at all.
I agree. And that's sort of where we end. By the way, I will say though, you bring up a tired Gyökeres. I actually really don't know if that really exists. I actually think he thrives, and I actually think Arsenal lose. And actually, one thing I actually want to see if you agree with me, because Seb doesn't beat around the bush, right? If I'm talking bullshit, he'll tell me. Arsenal lose control in games when Gyökeres comes off. No.
Yes, we do. Well, even in the statistics, you can see that we lose more possession and more. And because the thing is, when we tend to go later in games, which I don't like, we tend to go long a lot. Especially in the game against Wolves, where we're trying to relieve pressure, we're trying to build it up. And when you have Jesus up there, there's no target up there, which is why I think we've also missed Marino because he would come on late in games and be that target. So without Marino on there, you need either Gyökeres or Havertz on. So if we're going to take anyone off, we need to bring on Havertz rather than Jesus. Jesus
Yeah.
is fine to bring on when, I don't know, when we're already a couple of goals up and he can come on. But I just don't
I thought
trust
the way we
Jesus.
closed out the Brighton game with Norgard and Havertz coming in was
Yeah,
perfectly
that's
perfect
perfect. That's what you want to
execution.
see
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
didn't even look like we were going to concede a goal. Like if those two came on against Wolves, we don't lose that game. That game gets shut out and we win. So it's just like that's what I'm saying. It's like the substitutions in some of the games have been not the right players to bring on, but
Yeah.
it's. I think
Let's see.
it'll be
Charlie
fun.
goes, great point by Charlie. Can Bayern lose using defend corners? We'll find out. They also have Munich on the weekend and 3 points off of the Bundesliga Champions League spot. Ooh, okay. So even that works in our favor.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, it has been 2.5 hours. Thanks so much, Seb, for coming on. As always, always lovely chatting football with you. I gotta get. It's 5. Can you believe tomorrow? Game starts at 4:45 a.m. It's 11:55 p.m.
You need
I'm
to get
gonna
some
like sleep
sleep.
for 4 hours. Fuck me. And then I do a whole day of work. But that's just my life. I just keep grinding. Um, thanks everybody for being here. It was a great chat. Everybody was contributing. Sorry if it took me a while to read some of them. It's to be honest, it's not the same without. I mean, as much as it's good to have Seb and Jake and stuff. Cal very much was my co-host, so like he would read out the comments and stuff at times when we were in the middle of chats, and it's easy for them to kind of slip below the fingers. But we got through all of them, so it's good. Big up to everybody that was here, guys. Yeah, we will be back. I will be back tomorrow with the post game show after the Champions League game. Hopefully, it's after a win, and we'll discuss that. Yeah, I haven't planned a guest for that. Hopefully, I reckon Jake will pop up at some point because every time he tells me he's not coming. Jake, are you coming or not coming tomorrow? He's probably going to tell me now. Anyway, cheers, guys. Thanks for being calm and level-headed, Gunners. Yeah, that's what you're going to
Forgot
get
me.
here. Even though I just predicted us winning the quad, low key, but I didn't want to. I really didn't want to, just because it would just be very typical me to go ahead and do that. But just this the more I look at it, it's like it's not crazy looking at the fixtures. It's not like we have to beat the best teams in the world in any possible competitions. It's looking more and more likely. The finals are going to be the biggest stumbles for me. So cup finals and then the Champions League final would be, I think, the toughest. Yeah, it depends on my time. All right, we'll chat. Jake, you gave up your burner account. Now I know. Everyone knows that that's you. Anyway, all right, guys. We shall see. All right, take care, everybody, guys, and we will see you tomorrow. See ya.